Hello, Philadelphia! I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gorgano Show!
Good morning, everybody. Happy St. Patrick's Day Monday. St. Paddy's Day. Oh, man, I missed being in Clearwater for today. Phillies and St. Patrick's Day, always a blast. So hope everybody has a good, safe, and happy St. Paddy's Day. This is the Anthony Gargano Show, and we're presented by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. TrueMark.com/PHLY for the credit union difference. All right, news of the weekend. Mekhi Becton goes to the Chargers. 2 years, $20 million. And yeah, I saw the number, and I was like, damn, I would love to bring him back. 2 years, 20 seems doable. But, you know, look, they weren't lying. When Howie said they were in maintenance mode, they were in maintenance mode, right? They're going to take care of Cam Jurgens. And so Mekhi Becton leaves. More draft capital comes the Eagles' way. And it looks like Tyler Steen will get his spot at right guard, and Kenyon Green will be the who they got in the trade will be the backup plan. So hopefully he can go to Stoutland U and feel good about it. And next thing you know, get him on the right path. But that's kind of where we stand right now. Eagles free agency, a lot of departures. Is Dallas Goedert the next one? That's what we'll discuss. We'll discuss what you do with the O-line. And look, it's a maintenance thing. I know everybody's like, oh, my God. It's been a weird start to the free agents, whole free agent season with losing all those players. But I keep going back to it. I think it's the right move. I think all this stuff. Yeah, would I like Mekhi Becton? Yeah, I would. But, when it comes to the cap, I got to give it to Howie, right? I got to allow it to play out. It's so early in this process. This is not the team that you're going to go with. So, you got draft, you got some trade capital. Let's see what happens, see what's up next, what he's got up his sleeve. But again, the season doesn't start tomorrow, so we'll see what happens. Tournament, Selection Sunday. I love Selection Sunday. It's so much fun. Thursday it all starts. Got the playing games coming up. But the one seeds Auburn and Florida, which looks really nasty. Florida looks like a team that can win. Duke will get Cooper Flagg back. They showed a lot of grit yesterday, winning the ACC on Saturday, and win the ACC. They were impressive. And in Houston, those are your 4-1 seeds. And there's no Philadelphia team. I look at the bracket and I go, oh my, no teams. I miss our runs. I miss Villanova. I miss St. Joe's, the Joe, which almost made it. I miss my LaSalle, the Southwest Philly floater, and of course my beloved Temple Owls. No TU. Man, John Chaney, I think about this time of the year and I think about John Chaney, who was one of the great coaches of all time, God rest his soul, and always had those March runs, man, made a lot of fun. So we're shut out, so we look as onlookers and bystanders for the tournament. Great college basketball, too. College basketball is, I feel like, on its way back, unlike the NBA. We'll talk to Dick Jerardi about the bracket, Brain will size up the bracket. We'll talk to Devon for some basketball. And coming up in about 15 minutes, Z Berm to talk about Mekhi Becton and Eagles off-season. Good morning, VG. Happy St. Paddy's Day.
Happy St. Paddy's to you. Give me a little potato here.
See, I won't even try that.
Yeah.
You're not good at it, especially with Frazier. I should say a happy St. Patrick's Day to our producer, Andrew Frazier. This is his day.
A top of the morning to ye.
Let's see.
Isn't it our day? Is it St. Patrick Italiano?
I don't know, dude. I've heard that a million times.
Yeah.
Whatever, the lure. I have no idea.
Are you trying to take my day here?
Yes, all I read him. He's a little back up. Hey,
You
man.
say that to an Irishman, they want to fight you.
They want
I
to fight
leave it
anyone.
be. I leave it be. I go, hey, it's your holiday, Andrew.
Thank you.
It's your.
Happy St. Patrick's Day to both of you.
What do you do to celebrate, Andrew?
Oh, drink.
Yeah.
Of course. What else? Yeah.
But is that just a? Are you? No, I don't want to say embarrassed because it's part of the revelry and frivolity of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, the drinking is all part about the holiday. We do the corned beef and cabbage every year, the traditional corned beef and cabbage. You get some river dancing, you go out, you just have some nice fun times with your friends.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a great culture. It's a great culture. I just follow along and I'll raise a Guinness and
There you go.
and enjoy it. Usually it happens during the tournament.
I like that it's not happening during the tournament this year. Those hooligans usually take over the tournament day and cause a ruckus. You can't hear the TV.
As they should.
I enjoy them having their beers and going crazy, but I'm glad it's not on Thursday and Friday of this year or Saturday and Sunday of this year.
Well, I mean, they celebrate over the weekend.
It's like a 5-day celebration, let's be
Yeah.
honest. It was all
Well,
weekend, and my part of town was all week. Yesterday
Well, if
was
it's on a Monday, the
bonkers.
celebrations over the weekend.
Yeah. Yesterday was the parade.
Right.
South Street was shut down. Paddy Wax had all the bands out playing on the street.
Yeah, that's fun stuff.
Yeah, it was good. So I'm glad all that's done with. Now we can focus on the
And
tournament.
then today everybody goes nuts, right?
I think yesterday was the big day.
It'll
What
probably
is it,
be
Andrew? Today will today be a day of frivolity?
I feel like today will probably be a little tame just because it was over the weekend was really the big blast.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm sure there's going to be people out enjoying it. Yeah.
All right. And that'll set the stage for Thursday and Friday. It's all basketball.
Yep.
Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
Stay away from the green beer. Don't be drinking that.
I don't drink any green liquids unless it's Ecto Cooler High C.
Yeah.
It's the only green liquid I'll drink.
Yeah. Stick to the Guinness and Bailey's.
I will tell you, I lived in Chicago and they dyed the river green, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure. It looks great.
It really is. Their parade is amazing. It really is pretty cool.
Yeah, they do it right. They party well.
Look at Johnny Marks.
Marks.
Johnny Marks has his green on.
Green hoodie.
Johnny Marks!
You know who has a great
As he shuffles to the bathroom.
who has a great St. Paddy's Day parade and party? Savannah, Georgia.
Really?
Yeah, I was there one year for it and it was awesome.
Get out.
Yeah, live bands, thousands of people. It was insane.
Well, it's pretty cool. I mean, I know New York, obviously us, and Chicago does it up big time.
Yeah.
Anyway, the hoops were great. The
Good
conference
weekend of hoops,
championships.
yep.
Don't you think they were fantastic?
A lot of fun this weekend.
Are they? Is it college basketball back?
It's hard for me to gauge because I'm always in on it, so I don't know.
But you could there's levels of quality, right? It feels like the quality's much better.
Quality's great. I don't know if it's back as far as fan interest. Like, I'm curious to see when
Quality's better than it was the last couple of years.
Oh, for sure. The NIL's helped, I think,
Yeah.
keep people here. Because that G League stunk. And it was
G League's terrible.
taking players that should have stayed in college.
The NBA's half a G League. I mean,
Dude,
Hood
I was reading about-
Schofino plays for the Sixers. I was like, geez, it's their G League team. It's Blue Coats.
I was reading an article. It's the Mavericks. They may have to forfeit games. Have you been following this? Because of their injuries that they've had and their two-way contracts, and because they went over, they made some deal last year, so they have a hard first apron of the cap. We'll talk to Devon later about this, but they're not allowed to sign any additional players.
That's why they couldn't use the G League.
Yeah, so they can't sign any additional players, and they have people injured. There may come a time, and certain players are maxed out on how many games they can play. So comes the end of the year, they may have to forfeit games if people
What
don't
do you
get
mean
healthy.
maxed out on how many games they could play?
I don't know. There was like a limit to like these two-way contracts, you can only play like 47 games or 50 games. I want to ask Devon about it because I read it a little bit this weekend. I was like, this is crazy that the Mavs could have to forfeit
they were.
games.
I mean, I saw one over the last week or whatever. They only had to dress like 8 guys.
Yes.
Like it was crazy. Like in the NBA, that's like me, my St. Margaret's team. I have an 8-man roster.
The NBA is a hot mess right now.
Yeah, it really is, and it's funny because it gets put back on, display because of college, right? So basketball's at the forefront, and it really shows you the limitations of the NBA. I mean, there's like a handful of teams that try.
And now everyone.
The Celtics, the Knicks, OKC, the Lakers, right? Those are
Cavs,
Cleveland, yep.
Nuggets.
Denver.
And
Yep.
everyone else is just in tank mode. It's like a tank off. Everyone is tanking.
It's crazy. Like, teams don't play players, and
they have to figure something else out.
It's insane. Like the league, and look, I get it if it was the end of March, right? But it's really kind of been this whole month.
Yeah.
Like they started right after the All-Star break.
Like the Raptors right now with it's almost embarrassing, all the teams that are just tanking.
Right. And like you have 2 teams that try to lose, like yesterday.
Yeah.
The Sixers,
Yeah.
The Sixers Mavericks. The Sixers tried harder to lose, or Dallas tried harder to lose.
Yeah, like what kind of league is that at this point?
Yeah, it's bad. It's a bad product.
And
I don't know how you tried out, these players and charge ticket prices.
Well, the salaries they're paying the players. I mean, Comcast is gone. NBC Comcast is going to have to put their foot down. There's no way they can pay $1.5 billion for the next 10 years
And have this
product going on.
No,
No,
because nobody watches.
no.
There's who's like a Sunday afternoon used to be prime. Sunday afternoon pre-tournament, post-football. That was NBA time.
Yeah, at the pub late afternoon yesterday, it was PGA time. Everyone was glued to the Players' Championship. And
Wow, that's what was going on?
Yeah, because Rory ends up choking a lead, and now there's a playoff that starts today. Is it a 3-hole playoff today, Frazier? 4-hole playoff today?
Wow.
I believe
Yeah,
so.
but
People were screaming at the TV, and I turned around. I was like, they're watching a PGA game, a PGA tournament.
PGA game.
Yeah, I was like,
that's the thing. It's crazy. It's like a Sunday afternoon was always hoop. Like it was hoop.
Yeah.
I mean, I whatever. I mean,
Weird times.
Yeah. Well, college will be a lot of fun. All right, let's talk birds. Becton. 2 years,
this doesn't
20,
feel
man.
right, Ann. Something's going on. 2 years, you get a guy, a reclamation project, you turn him into a stud, a beast. You say road grader. He's everything you'd want. 10 mil? That's not a ton of change in this world.
I know, 2 years.
That's not a ton of
I
change.
know.
It's not a lot of guarantee. Like 220.
It felt like when they made the Kenyon Green trade, that was that they were set on their plan.
Mm-hmm.
Like it didn't matter what Becton got. They were already moving on.
I've been saying, trust how I'm teetering. I'm teetering going the other way right now.
Well, there's a lot of people teetering.
Because that Becton was.
I love Becton.
I mean, let's say in the scheme of life, that's a ridiculous number, $10 million a year. But in the NFL, for a starting guard of that caliber, who's young,
who got,
like
God
26.
forbid, if you had
and
injuries,
he could play tackle.
Exactly.
Yeah, like that sounds like a deal.
I know.
don't
It's
understand
almost like they had made up their minds that this is what it's going to be like, and it didn't matter what he got on the open market. I was surprised that not a lot of teams went after him too. Like, 2 years, 20. I think the Chargers got a hell of a deal, man.
Yeah, were we missing something? Are we overrating him? It sounds like Baldy loved him.
No, everybody.
Why weren't teams clamoring to pay him?
Here's the problem. Like, I guess because he was hurt a lot before this year.
Mm-hmm.
He struggled to tackle, and maybe that's why. Maybe they looked at that and the value of a tackle versus a guard, and they slot him in as a guard.
I don't know, because guards were getting paid. There were some bigger contracts going out.
I know. I know.
Yeah, this is the one where it's like how he's really pushing it. Pushing how much trust he's got. He's at the all-time highs now.
Isn't it infinite? Isn't it that?
Well, he's at the all-time high now, so I guess he's like, now's the time. But I just don't understand that move. All the other ones I could live with and take, but that one.
All right, we got our man Z Berm on the line. Let's talk about some business, and then we'll go right to him to answer these questions. Let's talk a little bit about Rothman. Yes, our friends at Rothman Orthopedics. Joints aching, hands cramping, back out of whack, shoulder, elbow. Like a little better today because I threw a little bit over the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Rothman's got you. At Rothman Orthopedics, practicing specialized care has been their mission for over 50 years. Their mission is high quality, compassionate, affordable care that's rooted in research. Research leads to new treatments and better outcomes. Each Rothman doctor laser focused on their specialty: hip, knee, spine, you name it. They have a team for each body part right here in your backyard. You can throw BP to your kid. You can cross over on the driveway, right? Drain those jumpers. And, of course, roof our teams like no other fans in the country. They're Rothman Orthopedics. They specialize in you. That's 50 years of clinical trials, all right, for groundbreaking research. All right, the goal's always been advancing knowledge, developing treatments, and improving outcomes for the benefit of their patients. Rothman Orthopedics specializes in orthopedics, and you visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today.
Okay, let's talk about TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Spring is here in a few days, so let's spring into savings. And if you're like most people, you can't just go find an underperforming guard to save a little money. So if you got financial goals, whether they're buying a house, taking that dream vacation, or building up that all-important emergency fund, TrueMark Financial Credit Union's got the perfect savings accounts for you. TrueMark Financial offers high-rate certificates and money market accounts to help your money grow faster and work harder for you. You get that higher compounding interest, and that is good for your savings account. So visit TrueMark.com for rates and to learn more. TrueMark Financial, federally insured by the NCUA. Equal opportunity lender. Rates are subject to change. TrueMark.
Oh, that's right. All right. Now, joining us from the All PHLY Bird Show, the great insider of the Eagles. That's right, our man Z Berm, who's working on a book about the Super Bowl. How's your how you doing? How many words you give? This is a big weekend of writing for you.
Yeah, doing great, doing well. I'm gonna let the publisher announce kind of the details of that, but I'm kind of in the thick of trying to put things together right now.
I know what that's like. Did you get a lot of work done this weekend?
I did a lot of work done.
Good,
a lot of work
good.
done.
It was a big weekend for you.
Yeah, it was. I needed
the
it.
coffee, right?
Yeah.
You're staying up. You're bleary-eyed. You're nodding off at your desk. I know that feeling, man.
Yeah. I'm trying to write like you. That's the key.
Yeah, no, I feel you, brother. All right, so the big news is Becton, 2 years, 20, Zachariah, seemed doable.
I mean, I think it's doable. It's doable, like when you don't consider the context that they have two of the highest paid tackles in the NFL. They have the highest paid left guard in the NFL. They're going to soon have one of the highest paid centers in the NFL. You can't pay all five guys $10 million plus, right? And so, yeah, I mean, it's within a vacuum. It's a very reasonable contract for a starting guard. If you didn't have a $20 million left guard and, two $20 million tackles and then a soon-to-be, $15 million plus center. So I think within the context of the entire offensive line, it's more of the issue.
Yeah, I feel you. And that's the read on it. And listen, the moment they traded for Kenyon Green to back up Tyler Steen, you knew the writing was on the wall no matter what kind of deal Becton got. I guess I was surprised that Becton didn't command a little more on the open market.
Yeah, that part of me that surprised me as well, Anthony. As you know, typically the contracts that are signed the first 2-3 days favor the players. The contracts that are signed after those first 2-3 days favor the teams. And I thought Becton was going to be signing, day one, day two, and not over the weekend here. But still, for a guy who did not sign a contract until after the draft last year, to be a $10 million a year guard and to have, it's not a long-term deal. So at his age, he'll be able to hit the market again at, 27, 28. That's not bad for him, all things considered.
No, it's not, because then he'll get another contract, presumably that he's going to be, because I think the Chargers get a steal, man. They're going to be good. Chargers are a team that you got to watch out, because I'm a big believer in Harbaugh, And
Sure.
I could see them. That was a good move for them.
Yeah, and he joins an offensive line now with Joe Alt, the right tackle is 6'8", 320. Like that's a tough right side right there when you put Becton next to Alt. He can play guard because obviously they have or they have Slater, they have Rashawn Slater, and they have Zion Johnson on the other side. So he'll continue his career at guard, which is where he really flourished.
Yeah. All right. So let's think about this. Now there's one more shoe to drop, and it's Goddard. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of a waiting pattern right now in terms of what team would pay him. I don't think compensation to the Eagles is the complication here. I think it's more who would want to bring him on and pay him because it would require a new deal. And you saw the Eagles, for instance, add Kylan Granson on Friday. He's a tight end from the Colts. That Colts depth chart is bare. That's a team I would watch. I think there's some teams that might be waiting on resolution with Mark Andrews in Baltimore. That should be coming this week. I think he has a roster bonus due this week. But if Andrews stays with the Ravens, then Goddard's really the best tight end that's available. And so I think that if you think last year the Hassan Reddick thing lingered through the owners' meetings, the day after the owners' meetings was when that trade took place. It wouldn't surprise me if there's a similar timeline here. Now, financially speaking, it could benefit the Eagles post June 1st. But if they just kind of want to clear the cap, or if they want, I'm sorry, clear the cash rather, if they want to, for instance, get a pick this year, then it would have to be before the draft. But I don't think there's a hard deadline on this Goddard move.
Yeah, it's interesting. What do you tell fans that are now angst? Like I consider and say, still blue in my face and say, look, it's you're not starting the season tomorrow. You got a whole off season. You got a draft. I know there's a lot of farewells, but this is not the end of the world. Like, but my man, go ahead, VG.
What?
You were teetering.
Yeah, I mean, they're pushing. Howie's pushing the limits of this faith and belief, and it sounds ridiculous. So close to a Super Bowl, but I don't know. The Isaiah Rodgers moves questioning it. I know what you're saying, but we hear how important these trenches are, and 2 years, 20 mil doesn't sound ridiculous, even in the context of everything. You have a bunch of dead cap money coming off this cap next, this year. I mean, there's rumors going around. People are grumbling that this team is cash poor right now. Do you think there's any accuracy to that?
Well, here's the so I'm not gonna be one of these who tells you that like they should put a banner up about compensatory picks, right? Like you don't need to sell compensatory picks when you just won the Super Bowl. In terms of like the cash situation, I think that they spent a lot of cash the past 2 years. Look at the extensions they gave AJ Brown, Devontae Smith a year ago. Look what Jamar Chase and T. Higgins got last night, right? They're going to have big extensions coming up soon. Cam Jurgens, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. I think there is some budgeting that they need to consider. But it's not even a matter of talking anyone off the ledge here. What it is saying that this is a football team that has Jalen Hurts at quarterback, Saquon Barkley at running back, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith at wide receiver, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata as their tackles, Landon Dickerson at guard, Cam Jurgens at center. We can go on to the defensive side of the ball. Like they're still probably the most talented team in the NFL. Losing Milton Williams and Mekhi Becton and Josh Sweat and Isaiah Rodgers doesn't change that. This is a team that's built around their stars, and their stars are still here. Now, you need more than stars, and that's where they need to draft well and coach well, develop well. You got to rely on guys like Keely Ringo being better. You got to rely on Moro Ojima taking the next step. But overall, this team still has their best players. That hasn't changed.
What do you tell us about?
Are you not buying it?
Nah. Neither is there's a guy in the chat, Gargano's Chicken Parm. He's not buying it either. He doesn't like these moves. He's out on Howie.
It sounds like good chicken parm though.
Now I hate Howie. Can you talk to us about another under the radar move? They upgraded, I guess maybe the long snapper, paid a little extra change for him, maybe an extra $150,000. Got older and more expensive at long snapper. What was that all about?
I gotta tell you,
You're
VG,
complaining about the long snapper?
Yeah, these moves
Oh, my
matter.
God, between you and Chicken Parm.
Yeah.
VG, I can't be disingenuous, to the audience. I can't evaluate long snappers, right? Like there's some things where it's like, I can, there's some things I know, there's some things I can I know 75%. I can try to be convincing on. I can't convince you on long snappers. This, I suppose, I'll take their word for it. I enjoyed Rick Lovato. I got to know him a bit over the past 8 years, but this is one where I'll defer to their judgment because I can't tell you that the guy they're bringing in from Cleveland is better than Lovato.
Anyway, forget the long snapper for a second. All right, forget
Special
that.
teams matter, cuz. Special teams matter.
When people say that they're not, because right off the bat, it's like, well, I guess they're not a Super Bowl, they're not a contender to repeat. I just think that's incredibly short-sighted. Like, you still have the base, you still have you still have, I mean, think about it. You still have 4/5 of your O-line, all right? And then you got Steen coming in. You still have Barkley, Jalen, AJ, Devontae. You still have Carter and the core, Zach Maughan and the two corners, and you got young ascending players, Nolan Smith, the whole thing. I mean, that to me is still a core that's a championship contender.
If you wrote down the 10 best players on the Eagles on Super Bowl Sunday, they're all still on the team, right? Like that's the reality of it. They knew they were gonna the high profile guys. They knew they were gonna lose, or they knew they were gonna lose Milton Williams. They knew they were gonna lose Josh Sweat. Isaiah Rodgers got more than I expected him to get. But again, I say this respectfully to Isaiah Rodgers. They weren't in New Orleans because of Isaiah Rodgers, right? Like, so I think when you look at this, if they were losing Jordan Mailata, if they were losing AJ Brown, now CJ Gardner-Johnson was a big part of their team last year, and they traded him away, no doubt. There, I just think that they still have their best players. They're still up there with probably the best. I think it's the best roster in the NFL still, but top 3, top 5 teams in the NFL. I don't know if they're going to repeat because it's darn hard to repeat in the NFL, right? But I do
it took
think
us 50
that
years to get one. All right.
Yeah. But I think that if you're watching this right now and you're worried about the Eagles depth chart, I would tell you, show me a team in the NFL whose depth chart you would rather have right now than the Eagles. Show me 3 teams that you'd rather have right now than the Eagles, because I don't think you'd be able to find 3 teams you'd rather have than the Eagles.
Just speak to that. Bet Parks odds for the Super Bowl this year. The Chiefs and Eagles both the favorite at +650.
All right. Does that allay your fears? I'm hoping Zach is get Chicken Parm.
Listen, I had to sit next to you
Parm?
telling me how much of a road grader, how awesome Becton was.
I do. I love Becton.
10 million a year in this world sounds like not a big deal.
He's a good player. There's no doubt about that. Becton's a good player, and I think that Tyler Steen hasn't shown yet in 2 years that he can be what Mekhi. Like, there's a reason why Becton won that job over Steen. The Eagles can't rationalize that, but they all. I thought going into the offseason they weren't going to be able to pay Becton $10+ million. If it was a $6 million contract, it would be a different conversation. But I also think internally they don't view Becton as $8 million better than Tyler Steen or $7 million better than Kenyon Green. And look, if we're going to sit here during the season and talk about how Jeff Stoutland's the best offensive line coach in the NFL, this is what Jeff Stoutland's here for. It's not just to coach $10 million a year players. It's to build Mekhi Becton's up. It's to build Tyler Steen's up, right?
Yeah.
All right, so just while you're here, we got a record-breaking deal in the NFL. Schefter reporting Texans cornerback Derek Stingley, 3-year, $90 million extension, $30 million base per year, highest paid defensive back in the NFL.
Wow. And then what's that tell you? They got 2 of them coming up in the future that they're going to have to pay. They're going to have to pay Jalen Carter in the future.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to pay Nolan Smith in the future. Like, the price of drafting well ultimately comes back to where you're going to have to pay them.
Yeah. 100%. And I think the Jalen Carter deal is the one to really focus on, because this time next year we might be talking about like the highest paid defensive player in the NFL. And that might be hyperbole. I know what Jalen Carter just signed. I'm sorry, I know what Myles Garrett just signed for, but Jalen Carter with another good season, you're talking about a contract with a 3 in front of it, and that's that takes a lot of planning to pull off.
Yeah, no, that's it. And then you got to be able to do it. Now, listen, this is where all those draft picks and consolidation, and then you got to try to get some bargains, right? Like you got to get some bargains.
Yeah.
And you're going to fill out the roster with a lot of free agents and go that route. And I hope you're hoping Kenyon Green could be rehabbed, like Zach said with Stoutland. You're hoping that you can fill in along the defensive line. And then
when the Eagles won,
draft.
When the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2017, they signed Patrick Robinson late. They signed Chris Long. You go out, they trade for Tim Jernigan. They make a handful of these not high profile moves that had material effects on the season. Last year, same thing with Mekhi Becton. Like Howie, it's not just hitting on Saquon that he has to do, but hitting on Zach Bond deal, hitting on Mekhi Becton deal. Like Howie's best off seasons, he's able to find these kinds of guys. It's incumbent upon him to, maybe whether it's Kenyon Green, it's Josh Uche, Harrison Bryant, someone needs to kind of step in and be a contributing player who fans might not expect him to be.
Yeah. Zachariah, good stuff, buddy.
Appreciate it.
What's the week look like for you?
We're 2:00 every day this week. We got some fun shows planned. Bowman will be in studio 2:00 today, and we're working through some guests, some different topics. But make sure you check out the PHLY Eagles show as we kind of transition now from free agency. We got the owners meetings coming up in 2 weeks, and then we're all draft the month of April.
All draft, buddy.
All draft in
I
April.
love it. Great stuff, Zach. Thanks, buddy. You're the man. Zachariah. Now joining us, the Big Five coaches breakfast at the Palestra.
Oh, nice.
Yes. He's going to be he's here live. It's his time of the year. There's 2 times of the year for Dick Jerardi.
Yes,
all
I
right.
know.
It's March Madness, and then it's the spring horse race.
Early May.
Right?
We get Derby.
A Derby.
Yeah.
Right. Preakness. I mean, it's Jerardi time. Girardi's a springman.
Springman, yeah. He really flourishes in the spring.
He is. He's the man of the spring.
Yeah.
Let's go straight to the Palestra right now for our man DJ. There he is.
Anthony, how are you, buddy? I'm on
we
the,
don't hear
I'm
you.
on the Yeah, I'm on the concourse.
We don't hear you, buddy.
That's a problem.
We don't hear you.
Let's
see if you
that's
can get us.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about now?
How about now?
No, we
Any
don't
better?
hear you.
Yeah.
Is
No
there?
good?
Can you check out the?
Yeah, I'm unmuted.
Are you on mute?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
There he
definitely
is.
unmuted. Hey, there we go. You good now?
We're good
Beautiful.
now, buddy.
Hey, I'm going to walk. I'm on the concourse at the Palestra. I'm going to walk into the building, and I'm just going to give you a shot of the crowd here, and then, so you can see it. Right, the coaches versus cancer. Is that good?
I love it. I love it.
They just honored Coach Dumpy a second ago. Here you go. You're gonna look at onto the Palestra floor here. Here you go.
Oh, look at
Oh,
that.
man.
That's awesome, Dick. Oh my God. I love it.
Annual event. Phil Martelli and Fran Dumpy started this coaches versus cancer deal. It started, Anthony, well, I don't know, 25, 30 years ago in like a small restaurant on City Line Avenue. And it's become this huge deal every Monday morning after the selection show. So there we go. So what's up, pal? You good?
It's speaking of coach versus cancer. I don't know if you had a chance to see Dick Vitale Saturday night during the broadcast. He broke. It was very emotional. It was beautiful,
awesome.
very touching during his battle with cancer and throat cancer, and talked about the need. And he's done so much help in raising funds for youth cancer.
Yeah, he'd be right up there with Jim Valvano and, for national guys for raising money for cancer research, no question.
Yeah. All right. Your time, Dick. This is where you shine. It's spring in Jerardi. You're like Easter Dick. All right? You are the man. Let's start with, first of all, no Philadelphia teams.
For the third year in a row. Not good. Where have you gone, Jay Wright?
Right? And where have you gone, Kyle Neptune, as he's gone?
Unfortunate. Yeah, no, we have three new coaches next year. One of them's been assigned, Darius Nichols and LaSalle, waiting on Penn and Villanova. But yeah, tumultuous time in the city, and it just hasn't been good the last 3 years. There'd never been a time, Anthony, that a Big Five school hadn't got in 2 years in a row. Now this is 3 years in a row. So yeah, not a good scene here in the city.
And then when you look at it, I don't know how it changes. I mean, now NIL makes it different because you can go in and you can hit the portal and you can strike some gold, and you can do it quickly. But man, I miss those days, Dick. I was talking about Coach Chaney and Jay and man, even
Beatty, LaSalle, Phil Martelli, Coach Dump at Penn and Temple. Yeah, no, it's just not the same. And it's going to be harder, Anthony, because other than Villanova, nobody in the city really has the kind of money to compete for NIL. Villanova, thankfully, does have it. They're just going to have to pick the right coach.
Yeah. All right, to the bracket, to the selection Sunday.
Sir.
Any surprises? Was there anything that you looked at and was like, wow?
Well, it was kind of a joke that North Carolina got in. I mean, come on, let's be serious here. And they can say that the chairman of the committee, who's the North Carolina AD, recused himself, but I know enough about how that process works. They like to take care of their friends. North Carolina has no business being in the tournament, but that happens every year. There's teams that shouldn't be in that are, teams that should be. Certainly West Virginia should have been in ahead against North Carolina. That's the one thing that stood out for me about the at-large selections. The other thing, Anthony, that bothered me is St. John's has to go to the West, right? They start in Providence. Look, they're an East Coast team. They earned a shot at Newark if they win 2 games, but instead they have to go out West if they win 2 in Providence and play some combination of maybe like Texas Tech and Florida to get to the Final Four. I mean, that's brutal. They rank them as the 8th best team in the country. To me, they're no worse than the 5th best team, which should have given them an East Coast shot, but they go by all these teams that you played and not necessarily how you play, but who you play. If you watch St. John's, they're playing as well as anybody in the country.
I do. I was going to ask you about this. Pitino's done a masterful job. And you know Rick very well, obviously. Our friend Tom Farrell, who's doing the docu-series with
awesome.
Which is incredible stuff. But it's warranted. I mean, he's turned that program around. They do it with defense, mid-range. They break. Like they're not a prolific three-point shooting team. They do it with a lot of good defense, rebounding, really great style of basketball. And you're right, man. Like think about this. You may have to play Calipari at Arkansas in the second round, or Kansas. I know they're down, but still, then you got to go play your Florida's and Texas Tech's
in San Francisco, so they get no geography. They are in Providence this week, but I just think the committee is more about, because they're all athletic directors and conference commissioners, Anthony, they're just not basketball people. So they don't know enough when they watch the games about who can actually play and who can't. I mean, St. John's has been killing people. This is a hard comparison to make, but they are playing at this point like UConn was playing at the end of the Big East season the last 2 years. They are just, what they're doing is wearing teams out. When it gets to the 30-minute part of games, teams just collapse. And that's been happening game after game with them. So I don't think it's going to change. And they're starting to make threes now, which makes them even more dangerous. Teams are exhausted playing them. So, good luck getting them out. But they did not give them an easy run to the Final Four. To me, Florida and Duke and Houston, they're all tremendous teams. I wasn't necessarily thrilled with Auburn as the overall number 1. They're just not playing well right now, and that should be a factor.
Yeah, they have not played well over the last 3 weeks. They've hit a dip, and I'm with you. Like they don't take into account that recency thing. Like where you are, especially in the NIL world, where you are at the end of the season is more of a true indicator as to who you are. Kansas was the number one team in the country.
Right. What 100%, Anthony. And again, the tournament committee hasn't adjusted to the NIL world. They say a game in early November matters as much as a game in early March. That's nonsense. It just doesn't make any sense, right? Your teams are completely developing, but they don't have the wherewithal to change how they've been doing it forever. And they really need to. They need to use the football model where they have a lot of ex-players and coaches on the committee they can actually look at the games and say, hey, look, team A is better than team B today. And that's really what you're trying to do is get the strongest possible bracket with the best possible matchups and reward the teams that are playing great, that are hot now. And I just think that's a mistake how they do it.
Don't you think, isn't that kind of making the argument, though, for North Carolina over West Virginia? I hate AD Cunningham being involved in this, but West Virginia's been struggling the last half of the year since the injury, and North Carolina's played a little better. So I kind of think it's kind of making the argument that North Carolina may be more deserving than West Virginia.
Yeah, I don't think North Carolina's played any better. I just think they've beaten a lot of bad teams in the ACC. I think that's the bottom line. Big 12 is way better than the ACC. Agreed that West Virginia didn't play as well after the coach's son got hurt, but I thought they played well enough. And to me, watching the two of them on the floor, West Virginia would have been my choice. I do get it. Your point is fine. But I just think North Carolina's a fraud. I think they have been all year long.
Agree.
Yeah.
Yo, the West coaches have Dan Hurley, Bill Self, John Calipari, and Rick Pitino all in the West. That's insane.
I know. Did you see Danny Hurley the other night?
He's the best, man. You know, if you can get by the madness, and there's certainly some madness involved with him. I mean, Anthony, you and I talked about this last year. He's a brilliant coach.
Brilliant.
I mean, Connecticut has not only won the last two tournaments, they've covered the spread in all 12 games. Nobody's come close to them. It's an astonishing thing what they've done. But yeah, people get into the histrionics and all the crazy stuff, but he's a hell of a coach. There's no doubt about that.
He is. Let's stay in that region, the Florida region, because nobody's playing as good as Florida right now. And they come at you in waves, man. Like they could score. They put 100 on, I'll hang 100 on you, no problem. And this is against good defensive teams.
Yeah, the difference in Florida in recent years and this year, Anthony, is they can always do that. This year, they can stop you from scoring. They got other ways to win besides just scoring 95 points. So I think if you said who's playing better than any team in the country right now, you can make a pretty good case it's Florida. Now, you might have made that case for Duke before, Flag got hurt. Assuming he's coming back, then, they're obviously going to be very difficult to beat the East.
All right, let's go in this region. So just off first blush, I guess you like Florida coming out of it?
I like St. John's.
You like St. John's? Wow.
Yeah. Look, Rick Pitino is the greatest college basketball coach since John Wooden. Look, I know Coach K won all those titles in UConn and with Jim Calhoun, and certainly Jay Wright had a great run. But to be able to take 6 different teams to the tournament, St. John's was a total dumpster fire when he got there. Within 2 years, they're crushing everybody in the Big East. There's nobody like him, Anthony, and I always ride him. When I watch his teams come March, this looks like all of his great teams. Now, he doesn't have the talent he had at Kentucky, obviously, nor does he have the talent even maybe he had at Louisville when they won the title in 2013. But all these guys are getting better. I'm picking him until somebody beats him. Yeah, Florida's going to be very hard to beat, but I like St. John's. I just ride my man, Coach Pitino, because like when I'm not watching him basketball, I often hang out at the track with him. So there's a little bit of bias here, but I do like my man, Coach B.
All right, let's go above it. Auburn, you already said it. Now look at that region, right? To Michigan State at 2. That's I gotta tell you, they're not a 2 seed.
You know what? Izzo should get another Hall of Fame call for getting this team to the Big Ten title. It says a couple of things. One, the Big Ten isn't very good. He's got a team of role players and Jace Richardson, and he won the Big Ten clear. But yeah, they're not a 2 seed. They're not very good. Everybody's picking them because they remember all Tom Izzo's great runs in the tournament. They haven't had a run like that in a while. I'd be shocked if they make the Final Four.
Yeah, I don't really like that region at all. I don't like Michigan. I don't like Ole Miss. I don't like. I mean, I like Iowa State a little bit. I like.
Yeah, one of their best players is not playing, which is a concern for Iowa State.
Yeah.
They were going to be my pick till the coach announced that he wasn't playing in the tournament, because I love their league and I like how they play. But yeah, this is a weak region, no question.
Who do you like coming out? Auburn?
But look, if Auburn's right, I know they didn't play well, and I've seen teams not play well. They're just waiting to get to the tournament. They're clearly better than all these teams, and it's not ridiculous.
Yeah. Other side, let's start with Duke. You mentioned it earlier with Flag, and they lost Brown. Flag will be back. They showed a lot of moxie, man, in winning that ACC title. Like, Proctor played well, and I thought Louisville would stress them.
Yeah, I think this is the best defensive Duke team I've seen maybe ever. And that's not something they're renowned for. I mean, they could just outscore you with talent, but they really guard. They got the weakest region by far. East is just, it's like the Duke Invitational. Anthony, the only difference is normally they would end in the Meadowlands, but now that the Meadowlands no longer exist, they'll end in Newark after they play 2 in Raleigh. So yeah, it's the Duke Invitational. I look for Cooper Flag to finish his college career in San Antonio in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, is there anybody that could? I mean, they're way better in Alabama. I'm looking at that region, and there's really no one I like in that region.
The only team that's slightly interesting to me, and it's the one Big Ten team I like, is Wisconsin.
Yeah,
they don't play like the old Wisconsin teams. They score in the 80s. They made 19 threes the other day. They actually have guys that can shoot, and they're trying to outscore teams. So on the right day, if they hit 18 to 23s, they could beat anybody. But the odds on doing that against Duke are not very high.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then in the final region, the Houston region, that's interesting because Tennessee's a good team, man. They're legit. I mean, they hung tough yesterday. That's a good squad. That's going to be interesting to see that. You got also in that region. I don't like Purdue at the 4. You like them? I don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Matt Brady used to be with Phil Martelli at St. Joe's, an assistant at High Point, who they plays Purdue. And I sent him a text that said, "Do you guys press?" He didn't really answer the question because Purdue has no chance against pressure. Penn State forced 25 turnovers against them this year, but High Point doesn't press, so I don't think that's a great matchup. But I don't like Purdue even a little bit. I don't know why they're a 4 seed, and Michigan, which won the league, is a 5, but that's for the committee to figure out. Who knows what they were doing? But yeah, I don't like Purdue. Look, if we get Houston and Tennessee, the 1-2 in Indianapolis, there's a chance the first team to score will win because it is going to be hard to score in that game.
It's a rock fight. That's a rock fight for sure.
Hey, Dig, what do you think about Gonzaga in that? They seem sneaky right now. Good coach. They're playing well.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is not obviously one of their marquee teams. They almost had to win the West Coast tournament to make it in here. But Sweet 16 every year, year after year. Yeah, they're dangerous. They certainly have the talent, and they play that great schedule, so they're not going to be intimidated by playing anybody.
I like Clemson to get to play Houston.
I saw them early this year, Anthony. They played Penn State in Daytona Beach. Veteran team, Elite 8 last year, beautifully coached, really smart guys. They will not beat themselves. You have to beat them. They are a dangerous squad in that region.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Anybody Kentucky? You like Kentucky at all?
I don't. I just don't think they play enough defense, and they have too many guys that are hurt. I love Mark Pope. I love how they play, but some of their key guys are out, Anthony, and they got a 3 seed based off of games that happened 2 months ago. I don't really know why they have a 3 seed.
Any early upsets that strike you? First round matchups?
Yeah. I like the UC San Diego against Michigan. They gave Michigan a really bad deal here, right? So they win the Big Ten, the last game yesterday. Now they have to travel and play in Denver at altitude on Thursday against a team that pressures. Yeah. Michigan is a high turnover team. they're playing one of the best forced turnover teams in the country. So yeah, that would be one I would look at.
Yeah, I'm with you. And it's funny. High Point. I was going to ask you about High Point because I still think they could win. I don't know much about them, but I just hate Purdue.
Yeah, right. Here's their issue. They're a high scoring team, Anthony. I think they'll score. I think Purdue's defense is pretty average. But the teams that beat Purdue, and if you look at their schedule this year, Marquette rolled them because they pressure. Penn State rolled them. How did they get knocked out of the tournament 2 years ago? FDU, of all people, pressed.
Yeah.
They don't know how to deal with pressure. Again, looking at the numbers, I don't see High Point doing that. But Purdue is vulnerable to me. They're a name more than a reality at this point.
Yeah, they're a name more than a reality. I love it. I love DJ. You're the greatest, man. This is what now? Will you do your bracket? Will you publish your bracket?
No bracket for me. But if you want to know something, my man, you got my number. Just send me a text.
Hey, before you leave, Dick, can I ask you, as a Quaker fan, I feel like Stevie Donahue got kind of a raw deal because he lost some players through the NIL and the transfer portal. Any idea where they might be looking to replace him?
Yeah, I don't know. And I agree with that. Steve, look, it's just everything's changed down here. The admission standards, maybe players that could have gotten in at one time, they're not able to get in now. And as you said, one of his best freshman last year is now playing at Villanova. He lost the leading scorer in the country 2 years ago to St. John's. It just doesn't work. He has not forgotten how to coach. In fact, I'll tell you a story. They played Penn State at the end of December. They got more good shots against Penn State's defense than anybody had up to that point. And I sent Steve a text when he was on his way home. I said, man, you couldn't have got him any better shots. The problem is the guys can't make the shots. It's not about coaching. It's about the personnel. And right now, they just don't have it.
Yeah. You hearing anything about Villanova?
I'm not. I have a coach for them that I love. Chris Collins at Northwestern has done an incredible job.
Yeah.
He is ready. I think he'd be thrilled to take that job. I don't know exactly what they're thinking or who's deciding what out there, but Chris Collins would be an absolutely perfect fit. I think he's every year I watch him and I go, I can't believe he's winning all these games. And this year, Anthony lost his best player midway through the season, then lost his point guard, and he was still beating teams he had no reason to beat. And if you think back, Northwestern had never been in the NCAA tournament before he got there. They were second in the Big Ten 2 years ago. Northwestern.
Yeah. Yeah. Basketball. Like,
he's my guy. Yeah, he's the guy I would.
And then you get Doug back. You have Doug. Doug will be back in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Doug's got a house in Westchester. His son-in-law is the coach at Malvern Prep, Paul Romanchik, a Penn guy. So yeah, Doug. I'm sure Doug would be thrilled to have Chris in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. My brother, you're the greatest, man. Thank you, Dick. We love you.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
There he is, DJ, checking in. Madness. The madness is here.
Yeah, I love DJ. He used to be great on the Daily News Live show.
So the greatest, he always is. Because, listen, the DJ it knows his stuff, right?
Yeah.
And everything, what I love about him, and you just heard it there, was like he looks at the matchups. Like I love that. Like, so he looks and goes, all right, well, Purdue's vulnerable against pressure.
Yes.
So who pressures them?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Like, is that High Point? Can High Point pressure them? They don't really pressure, but they're going to score. Can they stress Purdue?
I've made some High Point bets this year. I'm not going to bet High Point against Purdue.
No,
they've been on my radar in the trash juice a little bit.
Right. You're a trash man.
Yeah.
This is actually you and Dick, because you know all the trash. Any trash teams stand out for you?
Trash teams. Let me look. Well, first of all, everyone's anti-North Carolina, so you got to be all over the Aztecs with San Diego State, right?
Well, you know better than I do.
Yeah.
What about your Yale? Can they stress A&M?
Nah, I don't think Yale can do it. Did you see San Diego, Michigan is an upset bet I had down there?
How about Liberty against Oregon? That's a 12-5. You're a Liberty man.
I'm not really a Liberty guy.
No.
The thing is, the one team I like betting this year, they're going up against Clemson. I like McNeese State this year.
Yeah, but Clemson's
probably
good.
Going to roll them.
I like Clemson.
Here in the trash world, because this is
16.
anti my thing. I told you I'll live and die with Kentucky, so I'll probably take them. Troy against Kentucky, with the way Kentucky plays defense, Troy is live.
Troy's live?
Yeah.
There you go.
Kentucky is so manic. That's if I was going to take a runner, I'd take Troy.
Troy, I love that. Troy versus
And you got to
Kentucky.
go. I mean, a little hometown rooting. Phil Martelli Jr.'s over at Bryant.
Yes.
Against Sparty. You know, maybe the coaching.
You know what? We got to get Phil on to talk about this. We'll try to get him on tomorrow or Wednesday. And listen, you never know. That Michigan State team. Listen, first of all, Phil was at Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So
he's got a beat on Izzo's tendencies.
Right. And this is not a great Izzo team.
No.
Maybe
It's not even a great.
maybe Kobe Bryant can win.
I mean, it's not even. I'm not a
Kobe
maybe
Bryant.
I'll eat some crow, but I don't think the Big Ten's a good conference this year. The games I watched, they were brutal. So Kobe Martelli Jr. Man,
I love it. Well, we'll talk to Phil about that coming up. Brain is going to join us to go through some of your plays to look ahead to Thursday and Friday. Of course, we will be at Parks Casino, Street Road, Ben Salem, hanging out. All right, because we want to be for the games. And the special broadcast, 11 to 1 on Thursday and Friday.
All right.
So we'll have you for the start of the games, which we're looking forward to. All right, let's talk about the Bet Park Sportsbook online casino app. Talk about our friends. Because all the games, the madness has begun. And here we go. Here's your futures. 25 on Duke brings back 80. 25 on Florida, 100. 25 on Auburn, $125. Houston, 175. Bama, 400. Tennessee, 400. And here you go. St. John's. All right, that's the team that we're all going to be rooting for, right? The team we're all going to be rooting for, St. John's, $25 brings back 600.
All right.
That's worth it. To me, you heard Dick talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
St. John's.
I also,
that's where the pizza.
If you're going to take a runner, I'd do a pizza bet on Arizona too. Arizona,
yeah.
I think they've been playing all right. They're 40 to 1.
40 to 1?
Yeah, so 25 bring you back a grand.
Wow. All right. So you can check all that out. And the BetParks app, Sportsbook app has all that stuff, including all the games and you name it, as the madness begins right here on the tournament. So much fun. You got to check out the BetParks Sportsbook online casino app. And then while you're watching the game, have some fun with the slots and the online, they have live dealer blackjack and roulette. And you name it, it's right there on the app. So much fun. Make your downtime fun time. New customers, you're down in the first 24 hours, you get up to $1,000 casino bonus back. You got betparks.com has all the details. You got to be 21. You got to be in PA, New Jersey, Michigan, Maryland, Ohio. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Yo, they know what they're doing at Parks. They released Double Shamrock, a new online slot this weekend for the St. Patty's Day weekend.
Wow.
Good time. So Ace Hardware Home Services, they also know what they're doing, because we don't. Most of us, if you're like me, you're like Anthony, we don't know what we're doing around the house with tools and stuff. We usually make things worse or hurt ourselves. So if you got something like a leaky pipe at Ace Hardware Home Services, they're around the block with everything you need to fix it, including the right people to do the fixing. You got some heating or air conditioning issues. Weathers are getting a little warmer, so you want to make sure that air conditioning's ready to go. So they got a person for that. You got a faucet you said you fixed last fall. They got people for that too, because they're not just the helpful hardware folks these days. They're also the helpful home service and repair folks. From plumbing to heating, cooling, they got trusted pros to keep your house humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services, they're bringing the helpful home, the helpful you love from the store right now to your front door. So visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at www.acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next home project.
All right. Ace is the helpful place for sure. This portion of the program is brought to you by Rite Aid. Go to riteaid.com/PHLY to find the nearest store and pharmacy at Rite Aid.
Man, Eddie right in the chat say, man, I am not into the tournament.
Really?
Yeah.
Eddie's not into it?
I don't know, man. I don't
What
know
are we?
why.
It's, what's funny? I mean, as sports fans in Philadelphia, you got Sixers are dead.
Yep.
Completely dead. Flyers are just dead.
Floundering.
Listen, I watch them.
Yeah.
But
Because you want to watch
tough.
Meach Cup.
the fact that they're completely, decimated,
Yeah,
right?
they
Like
have
of
no
NHL
roster.
players, right? Like, we know it's about the draft. We know it's a rebuild, so
Mm-hmm.
we get it. But you're not getting like that thrill.
Mm.
You got Phillies, but the Phillies, this is a kind of an odd spring training, right? Like this isn't a spring training that you go, oh my God.
It's not causing a lot of excitement for people, the spring training. It's just more baseball's coming back, but people aren't like, yes.
I can't wait. Like I'm obviously, as a geek, I love it. But like to me, the tournament is where it's at.
Can I talk with the Flyers? Now that we just mentioned it briefly, players of the week in the KHL. Number one.
Is it a Dragon?
Number one, Yegor Zavargin.
Zavargin.
Played 2 games. Save percentage of .981. Goals against 0.5. 1 shutout.
So he gave up 1 goal in one and shut him out in the other.
Yeah.
Zavargin.
So that's what the hope we got,
No, listen,
Yeah.
that's real.
Yeah.
I hope he comes over next year.
Oh,
They're talking about
that'd be
2 years.
amazing.
They're
if he
talking
came
about
up-
2 years. But it'd be great if he came over next year. Him and Meeskov be best
Oh,
buddies.
dude, they would need a reality show.
It would
Like
be
locally, someone locally needs to do that
That
reality
would be
show.
fantastic. That would be fantastic.
Real quick update: the players. Rory won.
Rory won.
Yeah, they were
There it is.
live.
On St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah,
Rory wins.
he was actually repping England today. I don't know why he wouldn't rep Ireland, but he was repping England.
What do you mean he was
Yeah, what do you
repping?
mean he's rubbing them? He wearing a Union Jack?
No, I just I'm looking here. You know how they put the little flag next to their names and everything. He's got the Union Jack there, or the English flag, instead of the Irish flag next to his name. So
Well, it's not him. I don't know why that
I
would
don't know
be.
why he.
I don't know
because
why-
he's
why
from
that would
Northern
be.
Ireland.
But that's weird.
Yeah, but he did
Yeah.
win. He did win.
All right. Well, it's Rory on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Time now for the brain.
Brain. Red, the brain finder.
There he is, the brain. What's the matter? You're shaking your head already. Look
This
at that.
Rory thing, it's funny. Hand on the Bible, under oath, like swear on everything. I had Roy McIlroy queued up plus 676 going into the last day to win the tournament. And I literally, as I was literally going to put in the bet, I got called into another room and I didn't do it. And then I just completely forgot about it until the next day. And I saw he was tied or up by 1. And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to bet Rory. I don't root against people, but man, I did root against him yesterday because I was annoyed. That would have been a nice one. But anyway, great golfer. Because if you saw the leaderboard, there wasn't like great guys up there. It was Bud Cauley, it was JJ Spawn, it was like guys that were not, we're not talking like the Scotty Schefflers of the world. And I thought getting almost 7-1, it was worth a shot, but he got there. But what interesting college basketball weekend, guys.
Great
obviously Florida looked great. And I was certainly extremely impressed with them. They look like right now, they look like arguably the best team. Michigan, to me, I was surprised that they were able to win the Big Ten. The Maryland games would surprise me. Wisconsin, I thought, was a 50-50 kind of game, but that was a little surprised me because Michigan, to me, I don't really love Michigan as a team this year. They turn the ball over a lot. They've won 12 games, by the way, by 4 points or less.
Yeah.
Which is very lucky. And the tournament seeded them as such. They only got a number 5 seed, which actually I think was very, very reasonable. Even though they won the Big Ten, I'm not very bullish on this team. And one of the games I did bet was UC San Diego.
Yeah. In fact, Dick Jerardi he thinks San Diego because they play up tempo and they could
They
stretch.
force turnovers, Anthony, too.
Yeah.
They're second in the nation in forcing turnovers. Michigan turns the ball over a lot. And as I said, Michigan again. Look, I give them credit. They won and look, to win 12 games by 4 points or less, that shows they're well coached and they're good. But again, I think she thinks it's at least a 50-50 game. And I did I did bet San Diego getting the points. And I think that they're going to win that game.
All right, before we get to the Thursday game, well, we're going to kind of gloss it. We're going to kind of go through the Thursday and Friday from a point spread standpoint. But first, brackets wise,
Sure.
who do you got? So Dick thinks that he's got St. John's knocking off Florida, get to the Final Four.
It's certainly very possible. I actually did make a tiny bet today because it's funny. I have before the year, I bet Alabama, Auburn, Duke. I'm trying to think who else I had. Like I had a couple of good at Houston at very good odds. A team I really don't have coverage in is Florida, unfortunately, and they're obviously really good. But I did add a bet on St. John's State at 32-1 because I think they actually do. Again, it's hard to win 6 games in a row the way they do it, but I am so impressed. Again, I love Patino so much, and I like the way they play. Again, to me, if you beat them, I mean, it's like a lunch pail kind of effort where you're really going to have to grind it out because they're tough. They're really tough, but that's a tough, again, Florida got a tough draw, in my opinion, Anthony. I think the West,
that region
I thought
is nasty.
I thought that was the hardest one. I didn't know what you guys thought, but I thought that the West, in my opinion, was the hardest region of the regions because, to me, I thought St. John's was the best 2 seed. And I think Maryland may be the best 4 seed, in my opinion. So, and I think Connecticut, even as an 8, is one of those teams that always has a puncher's chance. So I'm just saying, I don't know I think it's going to be, potentially difficult for Florida, but Florida's playing so freaking well. I mean, and they're such a well-rounded team. They do everything. They do everything well. I mean, there's really nothing bad to say about them. They're just a really, really good team.
Real quick, just as an aside. So Rory's from Northern Ireland, right?
Northern Ireland, yeah.
Right.
I'm looking at it now. He actually did have the Northern Irish flag. Yeah. I was confused when I looked at the icon.
You were wrong.
It was small.
Boo, a true Irishman.
Yeah, thank you, Boo.
Had to school you.
Yeah, thank you, Boo.
So, guys.
Brain, do you think are we overrating St. John's a little bit because of the Calipari love? I mean, the Big East is not a strong conference this year. Their defensive rating is great, but their offensive rating is like strength of schedules.
Yeah, no, but overrating. VG, I'm gonna wrestle with you a little bit here. Again, they were 32-1 to win the tournament for a team that. What have they lost? How many games? What's their record this year? Like 29-3 or something like that.
30-4.
Okay, right. And considering that they keep winning these games, and you just can take some other teams that are in that 32-1 area. I mean, I'm just trying to think what teams would maybe fit that category. I think Tennessee is like 20-1-ish. Let me just bring them up right here and say the tournament winners. I mean, I think that for what they've accomplished, I actually think that their odds are quite reasonable and quite, fair. Like, again, if they were to play like a Tennessee or an Alabama or an Iowa State or a Kentucky, I think they're every bit as good as those teams. And again, if they face an Auburn, a Duke, a Florida, or Houston, I mean, those are the 4 number 1 seeds. But I absolutely think that they will hold their own. Again, I'm not picking them because I think it's very hard to win that style. There's just going to probably be a game. Like my favorite all-time team was like that Villanova team when they ran roughshod to beat Michigan in the finals because they shot the 3 so well. It's hard to beat a team like that they have so many ways just to score. St. John's, you're right, it's going to be hard. They're going to have to play extremely well, but I think look, they just keep winning, and they're obviously a tough team, well coached. And I think they're better than Texas Tech, and I think they're going to be an underdog in that game if they play Texas Tech. I actually think they're going to be like a slight dog. So I think Tech will be favored. I think St. John's would beat Texas Tech if they have that game. And I do think Florida is better though. I do.
Yeah. I listen, I agree.
We'll see.
How about up in the Auburn region? Would you like anybody? That's a pretty weak region.
I mean, listen, the thing is, it is a weak region. And someone who's rooting for Auburn, I was like extremely happy with their draw. Because I think they've been kind of leaking oil. To me, Michigan State, I think so weak too, personally.
So do I.
I think Iowa State, that's another team I have. But Iowa State, to me, they just lost their star point guard.
Yeah.
I don't think they have any much of a chance at all as a 3 seed. I really don't. A&M is they're whatever. I will tell you this: if I was a Louisville fan, I always say show your work, right? Right, Anthony? I always say show your work. How in the world they're a number 8 seed? I would almost say that could be on the SAT test. Like that's just unfair. Like that's like it's not even an opinion. Why? I just don't get how they got so. VG, you talked about St. John's being underrated. I mean, they had the same. And look, I think Clemson was every bit as good. Don't get me wrong, probably better, but they had the same record as Clemson. They beat them head to head in the ACC. Same exact record, 18-2 in the conference. Why would they get an 8 seed and Clemson get a 4? I just try to understand these things and be objective and be fair.
Yeah, I agree. I like Louisville too. It's a shame because they're going to lose to Auburn and they're
They're
going
going to probably lose to Auburn, but I'm saying it's just not a fair seed. Like that's a team I'd say to myself, what did we deserve except basically winning every single game we played? By the way, if their jersey said North Carolina instead of Louisville, they probably would have gotten a number 3 seed.
No, you're right.
I really believe that. I really believe that. And I thought that was horribly unfair. I just from a just again, I don't think they were a national championship threat by any stretch, but I do think that it was an unfair seed. Now look, when I look at that region again, I mean, I really don't trust anyone fully right now in it, Anthony. I think it's hard to because again, to me, Iowa State, I can't do it. Michigan State, I think they're okay. Auburn just hasn't been playing well. I guess I would pick Auburn out of default, but no confidence at all.
Same thing in the Duke region. I mean, I don't see anyone that can stress them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, in the Duke region, like you have to. I mean, you have to go clearly with Duke. Alabama to me though, Anthony, is a team, and again they got smoked by Florida, and again but they're the kind of team, you know, say a team has a puncher's chance because of how they shoot the 3 and how they are offensively.
Yeah.
They really theoretically could win any game, in my opinion, just because of their offense. But when I look at that region I'm looking at right now, Anthony, I agree. I mean, Duke really is the best team. If Cooper Flag is relatively healthy, you'd be picking against them just to do something different, right? Let's be honest. I mean, they're the best team.
And then you're right. And then in the Houston region, you know, it's 2 teams. I mean, it's Houston and Tennessee.
Yeah, and again,
I don't like either of those 2 teams either.
I don't love either of those teams, Anthony. That's funny. I agree with VG on that one. This is the bracket that I think is, in my opinion, just like if there was just some random team that were just to do it that you were like, oh my God, I can't believe
like
it.
A Clemson.
This is the bracket I'd be picking because I really don't like any of these teams that much. I think any of these teams are susceptible, including Houston, by the way. And I'm rooting for Houston again. They're a team I do have, but I still every time I watch them, I'm just like, I don't know.
You're right. There's something about Houston.
But the problem is,
I saw them as a 1 seed. I'm just like, I know, but it's just like, ugh. It's just
it's like I know it, they deserve it, but I always feel like, you know, like I kind of like, you know, when you played the Chiefs this year in football, you always felt like you could have beaten them and they won like 10 games in the last second. You're always like, man, we could have beaten this team. I kind of feel like that way about Houston. I'm just like, every time I watch them, I feel like
the only team that I think has a chance other than those 2 is Clemson.
Yeah.
I like Gonzaga. I think
you know what's funny, Anthony? And Clemson played a poor game they just were horrible offensively against Louisville. It's crazy. They almost came back. They were down 11 with 2 minutes to go, cut it to 2, thought the guy got fouled. They didn't call it. Could have actually tied it up, which would have been a crazy comeback. But I actually, Anthony, would agree with you. If I had to pick a team that would that's not in that top 2, they would be my pick. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. All right, let's go into the Thursday, Friday from a spread standpoint and kind of who you like, because early, like you have taught us to go early, right, with this stuff. So the tournament kicks off Thursday, 12:15, Creighton and Louisville right off the bat. Right off the bat, I like Louisville over Creighton.
Yeah, to me, I think that's a good game. I think it's a good matchup. I didn't bet it, Anthony. I'll go over the games you want that I betted. I bet like I think 5 games or 4 games I bet so far specifically. This was not one of them. I thought this line should have come in. I thought Louisville should have been a slight favorite, and they are now. Creighton played pretty well in the tournament. They obviously got a big win against Connecticut, but then St. John's grinded them down in the second half. But you know what? Louisville all year, it's funny. It's like what did Chris Carter do? All he did was catch touchdowns. All Louisville does is win.
Yeah.
And they have found a way to win virtually every single game. I'm not going against them. I think they'll find a way to win the game. I agree with you. I wish it was closer to 1.5 because I could see that game, Anthony, being 5 points or less,
Yeah.
and I'd like to at least get it down to 2, where if they win by 2, I can at least kiss my sister, you know what I mean? And push on it. But to me, only way I can look there is Louisville side.
And then you got then it's High Point and Purdue.
This game I bet.
All right.
I
You
bet
got High Point, right?
I do. And I got to be honest, this is a game I actually think High Point can win this one. If you're looking for a bet, if you're looking for, these upsets, I think Purdue, this is just a team I don't think is very good. They're awful defensively. High Point doesn't shoot the 3 great, but they're extremely well at shooting the 2, and Purdue's interior defense is brutal. I think High Point easily can win this game. 8.5 I took. This is probably right up there as my favorite bet I did in the tournament, because I actually kind of think I have a team that's going to win the game, or is going to be right there. And I don't really like Purdue very, very much. I think that I would not be surprised if High Point actually wins it outright. But again, I prefer taking the 8.5, and I think that they do cover this one.
All right, this is your Thursday slate. Well, you'll just stop me when you when you like something. Wisconsin, Montana, Houston.
Yeah, I will say this. I think Montana is the weakest of those 4 teams. Now, again, I'm not racing to the window to lay 16.5 with Wisconsin, but usually I like the underdogs. I don't like Montana. Like, that's not one of the, I'm just saying, for me, it's either, I'm not going to bet the game, but Montana's not one of the teams I like in the tournament.
I'm with you. You got, Houston, the big favorite is the 1 seed against SIUE, Auburn versus the playing team, Clemson versus McNeese. That's a VG special, McNeese.
I like McNeese, like the Cowboys.
Look, they had a good year. They had a good year. There's a lot of teams like McNeese, Drake, that San Diego that had good years that people may not know about, but these teams, High Point's another one, they actually played well. Now the line's 7.5. VG, did you bet this one? I didn't. This to me was a stay away. I'm not going to lay this 7.5 with Clemson, but I respected how well they've played all year too. So for me, this was a pass.
Yeah, I will take the Cowboys. They played, earlier in the year, they played Alabama tight. I think they lost by 8.
They played 10. Good. No, they've been good. It's funny. Clemson's just a team. Them and Louisville, I told you, ironically, 2 teams that played so consistent all year. I'm just not looking to fade them. But again, McNeese played well. They have.
Yeah, I'm looking back. I guess they played Mississippi
well,
State.
And that's a lot of points.
Mississippi State was 25 when they played them, and McNeese lost by 3. So they seem to play tough against the bigger teams.
Yeah. Yeah, no, again, not a game I'm
right.
playing, but I hear you.
Let's go to BYU VCU. That's a potential upset.
I lean BYU, but I see the line's actually gone up now. Looking at my screen, it was 2.5. I lean BYU. The line opened at 2.
Oh well, you're muted.
I'm muted. I shouldn't be muted.
Yes, we can't hear you.
Are you sure?
Maybe it's.
I'm not muted.
Is it us?
I'm not muted. Yeah, I'm not muted.
We can't hear.
I'm not muted.
Here he goes.
I'm not muted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not muted.
Oh,
but anyway, Anthony, I look. This line opened at 2.5. It's up to 3.5 in most places now. I think BYU is going to win. I don't think VA Commonwealth is that good, but again, it's a game. If it was 2, I may have bet BYU. I think BYU wins the game, but I'm not going to lay 3.5.
Gonzaga, Georgia is a good one.
I bet this one.
You took Georgia.
I did. Let me. Now here's the thing. If you follow the metrics
this Gonzaga team is not that good.
I agree with you, Anthony. But if you follow the people who are really into the analytics and stuff like that, Gonzaga is a darling of the analytics community. I don't get it. I think they have been. I've watched Gonzaga probably at least 10 times this year. I think they're okay, and that's exactly what I'd use, the word okay. Who are they to be laying 6.5? I actually think Georgia. I thought this line should have been closer to 3.5. I bet Georgia. I like Georgia. I think they're very live to win. I think
Uh,
Gonzaga is horribly overrated from a metric standpoint.
Tennessee, big favorite over Wofford. This is an interesting one. Arkansas, Kansas. Kansas 4.5.
Bet this one too.
I like Arkansas in this game to win it.
I took 5.5. I took 5.5. I think you could still get some fives out there. Yeah, Anthony, listen, you know my thoughts on Kansas. We've talked about it a bunch. I think Kansas is just really not good. I think these teams are about even. Honestly, I don't even know why Arkansas is necessarily an underdog. I think Kansas, because of the way they were before the preseason, it's just gotten too much love and respect. I think it's a 50-50 game. I bet Arkansas.
You got Calipari there too.
Yeah.
Again, to me, the game can go either way. I got 5 in it, but even taking 5, I'm like, it's not easy to win these games by 6 points. You know that, VJ. You know that, Anthony. It's like when these games are tight and hard to get margin, it's just not easy. I always almost, for everyone watching, I almost treat every underdog. It's almost like they're at home. It's almost like I feel like every favorite's almost on the road in the way these tournament games are played. It's just hard to get margin. It just is.
All right. A&M against Yale. Here's your Ivy.
Well, yeah, well, Yale is, I think, a decent Ivy League team. I can't quite get there. If the line was like double digits, I would have bid on Yale, but I'm not going to touch it. I think it's, what is it, like 7.5 or something like that?
I mean,
Maybe,
A&M's kind of
7.5.
reeling.
No,
They're 2-5 their last 7, but yeah, it's not.
I can't do it. I lean Yale
this year.
I lean Yale, but I can't do it.
And then you got Mizzou against the Drake.
I bet this one too.
You
Who'd I
did?
take, Anthony?
I don't
Who'd
know.
I
You
take?
took the Drake?
I took the Drake. Interesting contrasts and tempos here. We have one of the slowest teams in the entire nation in Drake and one of the fastest teams in Missouri. But I just think, the way Drake's going to play, slow down tempo, I say to myself, okay, I think it's harder for a team like that to lose by margin. The total in that game is 133.5, which is, if you look at the totals, guys, that is one of the lowest totals on the board. So when you're getting 6.5, in fact, actually, when I'm looking at my board here, it may be the lowest total. When you're getting a game which a lower total and you're getting 6.5 points, when there's points are more scarce, getting 6.5 means a lot more. Drake went 30-3, albeit against garbage competition. But I think they can keep this game somewhat tight. 6.5 to me was a little bit too high. I thought it should have been closer to maybe 4.5.
Don't hate the Drake.
I'm out on the Drake.
Not today, not this week.
Out on the Drake.
UCLA, Utah State. I don't say UCLA does not impress me.
To me, yeah, Anthony VG, you just said, to me, this is a yuck game. Line sitting right now, in that 4.5, 5.5, now 5.5 most places, 5.5 region. I'm looking right now on Parks. Not a game I'm betting. I really don't like either team, quite honestly. But not a game I'm betting. I can't. So I'm certainly not going to lay the points with UCLA, but I don't think Utah State's very good.
Then you got Omaha St. John's, Michigan, San Diego. It tells you all you need to know.
I did take.
Look at that line,
Diego.
2.5. San Diego.
Yeah, I took San Diego. Listen now. Michigan, look, they that Maryland game was a bad one for me against Michigan the other day. I really needed Maryland, and Michigan actually deserved to win. They played a good game. I tipped my cap to them, and then I just needed Maryland just to win because I bet them to win the Big Ten, which was that guy hit the shot at the end. But anyway, I just think Michigan, having watched them all year, I just don't think they're that great. I think they're really well coached. I'm a fan of the team if I root for them, but I'm not a fan of them when I watch them play in terms of how good I think they are. I think San Diego wins this one outright. I think it'll be very close, though. This is a game. I would bet this game's decided by 5 points or less either way. I think it'll be a very close game. I was able to grab 3.5, even taking 2.5. I think it's worth it because I actually think San Diego will win. And I think if Michigan wins, I think it easily can land in that 1 or 2 region. I really do.
Yeah. Texas Tech, UNC Wilmington rounds out the night. And then Friday, you got a couple of the playing teams we'll find out about. You got Baylor and Mississippi State. That's a good game. The 8-9.
It is a good game. And that game, listen, the game can go either way. The line right now is 2 for Mississippi State. Again, that's just again not a game I am betting. I think that game, it's just like I don't think either team's that good, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I think those teams are right about even. I have them. I made the line too, and
Yeah.
that's what it came in at. So not a game I'm betting.
Bob Morris. That's a Tooch game. Robert Morris.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like this is now again like Alabama. We talk about teams that do and don't scores points. Alabama scores a lot of points, so yeah, they are a team that actually probably will get margin. But again, the line is so freaking high. I'm not laying 22.5, but
if they're hitting their shots, they might win by 40.
Yeah.
They may. Exactly, BG. You're 100% right.
Iowa State Lipscomb. Where's Lipscomb at?
I don't know.
That's a great question.
Lipscomb.
And how many people know the answer without Googling it?
I do not
No
know
one
the
who didn't
answer
go
of
there.
Lipscomb. I want to say North Carolina, but I don't know.
It's like good a guess as any.
Nashville.
There you go. Good job, Andrew. Lipscomb. Memphis, Colorado State. How about Colorado State?
Well,
The 12 seed, the favorite over the 5 seed.
Yeah, I mean, look, Memphis overcome an injury, and they got like to the point guard and they won, which was impressive. Memphis has played well this year. Colorado State though has actually been, I think they've won 10 in a row. Anthony, I think they've won 10 in a row. Lean here, Colorado State, but again, not a game I'm betting. Line's actually up to 2.5 now that I look at it. Can't quite get myself to bet. If it was pick'em, I may have bet Colorado State, but I'm not going to lay 2.5.
Vandy, your son's school, Versace.
The
Vanderbilt.
I missed the boat on this.
Against
The
St.
line was
Mary's.
4.5, 5 yesterday, and I procrastinated, and now it's down. I'm looking, it's down to 3.5. Still lean Vanderbilt. I think a game can go either way. I really, really do. St. Mary's is always, look, Coach Bennett's a great coach. And to me, St. Mary's is always just a well-prepared, tough out. Vanderbilt has not played nearly as well down the stretch. Slightest of leans to Vanderbilt, but unless it gets back to over 4, I'm going to pass.
Then you got Maryland and Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon.
The Antelopes?
The Antelopes.
Well,
Wow. That's good.
Yeah,
That's good
well,
knowledge.
it is. Maryland been playing well. They really had, and against Michigan, they just didn't. And it's interesting, when this team has lost, all their losses have been, I told you, Anthony, I think by 5 points or less. Maryland, but here they're laying, I think it's 10.5 against a good Grand Canyon team, not a great one. Again, not actually, it's up to no, it is 10.5. I'm sorry. Yeah, not a game I'm personally going to bet. I thought the line should have been between 10 and 11, and that's what it came in at. Again, I'm not going to force it. Always looking to live bet these games if I see something of value, but that is not one of the games that I bet.
All right. They got Kentucky was a big number. You got Marquette, New Mexico. You got Arizona, Akron, the 4 and the 13.
What's that? Yeah, the Oklahoma UConn game is interesting. It's funny. I just think UConn's going to win the game. I just think they're going to win the game. This was a game when I saw the matchup, I was hoping this line would come in at like 3 or less, and I was going to bet UConn. I can't lay 4.5. I can't do it because my power ratings actually favor Oklahoma. But I think UConn's going to win the game. I just feel strongly that coach, that culture they've built, I just have so much confidence in them in games like this. And I just think they're going to win the game, even though Oklahoma's been good. But again, they're getting respect. 4.5. Again, I thought the line actually should have been closer to 2.5, according to my numbers. And I was going to bet UConn. I really was, but I can't lay 4.5.
The one that DJ likes, that Jerardi likes, is Troy against Kentucky.
Well, Kentucky's a little banged up. Okay. And that, and first of all, again, any game you have to win by margin is never an easy thing. Now, but again, Troy did lose, Anthony, this year. They did lose double-digit games. Okay. So losing double-digit games in not the best of conferences, when Kentucky lost about the same, I think they both lost 10 games. I can't get there, and I respect DJ a lot. I think he knows his stuff.
Me. I said that. just because I think Kentucky's Kentucky's a loose cannon.
It was VG.
Yeah,
Kentucky's a loose cannon.
Because their defense, they either play defense or they don't. So I think they're vulnerable. Depending on the day they come out, they're vulnerable.
You can take 11.5, which is the best number in the world right now on the Pet Park site. So I would say this, if anyone likes Troy, best number in the world, looking at my screen, is at Parks. So you can get at them. No one else has 11.5. So if you like Troy, it's a great number to bet them right now. Kentucky's a team, VJ, I agree with you. They're never a team I'm going to lay big points with, ever. Just because to me, they are so erratic. And I don't trust Kentucky. I think they're good, but I don't know how good Troy is. Can't say I know enough about them other than looking at my power ratings and their metrics, know how good they were. I haven't watched them play this year. So my lean would be Troy, especially if we're getting 11.5 on the Bet Park site, but not a game I'm personally betting.
All right, last two, and then we'll let you roll. We got Michigan State and Bryant. This is a game that VG and I are all over the Bryant. You know why? Because of Phil Martelli Jr.
Oh, that's a good enough reason for me. Yeah, I mean, listen, look, Michigan State has been, again, I give Michigan State credit. You know, I mentioned before Louisville and Clemson as two teams that, all year have been very consistent. Michigan State's been another team that's been very consistent to me all year. They've really, they were the number one seed in the Big Ten, and to me, for good reason. They were very consistent. I'm not laying 17.5 points for them, but again, I can't, at the same time, I know with Izzo, I know with them, I'm going to get a professional effort, so to speak. And Brian, again, they did lose double-digit games in not the best conference. Okay, so I can't get.
We were just doing Martelli.
I'm not just going to bet.
Try to have some fun with a local connection.
Yeah. And then
I get it.
And then Oregon Liberty is the last game.
Yeah, I mean, look, Oregon's been playing pretty well. Oregon's been playing pretty well. Liberty is a team to me. Again, I don't necessarily love Liberty. Again, the line is 6.5 points. Again, I thought the line should have come in right in that between 6 and 7 area. That's what it is. I think Oregon's going to win, but I'm not laying 6.5. But I do think Oregon will win the game. But 6.5 it's too rich for me.
Yeah, I hear you, buddy. Here it is. The madness begins Thursday. We're going to be at Parks Casino. Of course, your casino of choice, Parks Casino.
I do want to give you two props before I let you run, buddy. Zach Levine over 20.5 points, 38 and 21. I don't get that. I don't get that number. To me, that's just a bad number. Malik Monk, his last 30 games, over 5.5 assists, is 21 and 9. He's averaging closer to 7. Those are two props. You only have to watch one game.
What's weird about Zach Levine? He doesn't shoot the ball. The other night, he shot the ball 6 times. I was like, wow. Because I look at box scores, I'm like, why does Zach Levine only shoot the ball 6 times?
Well, that's you're right. Actually, Anthony, you were not exactly. He actually shot 5 of 6. But he's still, for this month, which even factoring in that 6-shot performance, he's still averaging 22.5. 20.5 again. I thought it was 2 points. That's the edge. The edge, those 2 points. And so, but you're right. But he also switched teams, Anthony, right? He went from the Bulls where he was like the main guy. Now he has to share. Well, he did play with DeRozan before, but there's DeRozan there. There's Monk there. There's Sabonis there. So, maybe that's why.
My man, listen, have a great night. Good luck to you. A lot of fun going over the brackets.
Wait, I didn't hear you. Who are you guys Final Four? Who are you picking to win the tournament? Before I let you run.
To me, I hate this doing it, but it's
You've been Duke all year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm probably leaning Florida right now.
Yeah, but. I mean, it's those two. I don't see any other, St. John's.
On paper, those seems like the right 2 picks.
Yeah.
On paper.
Yeah.
It does. I have to admit it. All right, guys, I'll catch you tomorrow.
See you, buddy. There he is, the brain. Brain. All right, coming up. Our man Devon. But first, we'll talk about some of our friends. This portion of the show brought to you by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. TrueMark.com/PHLY.
TrueMark.
For the credit union difference. All right, let's talk a little bit about, let's go with our friends at Golden Nugget Jewelers. 8th and Chestnut. The heart of Jewelers Row is where you'll find Golden Nugget Jewelers. It's where Philly gets engaged. Golden Nugget. All right. You're going to love it. That's the jingle.
I love it.
It's a good one.
I do love it.
Yeah. And you'll meet your own and you go there. And if you're in the market for an engagement ring, you look no further. All right. Because I told VG, we were there. We did the show there one day, right actually before the Super Bowl. We there.
Yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah,
Great people there.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
It's busy.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, we had the Trots on to celebrate
Oh, that's right.
From,
We did have Trots on there.
from the Super Bowl. But Golden Nugget Jewelers is fantastic. He's got the large selection of certified diamonds. He has the settings like Tacori, Viraggio. So you have the great designers to put together a ring that's going to make her melt. Work within your budget. Make the whole experience fun, stress-free, worry-free. Go to Golden Nugget Jewelers. And look, you got Mother's Day coming up too. So, keep that in mind. All right. GoldenNuggetJewelers.com. It's where Philly gets engaged. Now let's talk about Parks Casino. Again, we said it. We're going to be here on Thursday and Friday, 11 to 1. Show change. 11 to 1 on Thursday and Friday for the tournament. Parks Casino, our casino of choice to have it all. Action, excitement, headline entertainment, comedy, MMA, boxing, all at the state-of-the-art Excite Center. All right, all those great concerts. Plus, you get thousands of hot slots, state-of-the-art sports book, beautiful poker room, and a collection of award-winning restaurants. Parks Casino, this is how you win. Here we go, July 26th, the hilarious Joe Gatto from Impractical Jokers.
Larry!
July 3rd, Grammy-winning singer-songwriter Gary Clark Jr.
Here come old Flap Top, he come grooving up slowly.
He got
Jojo Eyeball.
Plus, comedian Ron White, March 20th.
Can't Fix Selection
That's
Committee.
coming up this week. The Motown Sounds of the Isley Brothers, April 11th.
This old heart of mine's been broke 1,000 times. Each time you break away.
Comedy duo Chad Daniels, Kelsey Cook from the Pretend Problems podcast. Psychic medium Matt Frazier on April 18th. TV Todd's clients, the band live, April 24th.
Lightning crashes and an old mother dies.
And you got some big comedians. Comedian Gary Owen, April 26th. Larry the Cable Guy, May 16th.
Get her done.
And Mark Norman, July 12th. Don't forget dinner and drinks before the show. Liberty Bell Gastropub, Beer Garden. That's right, Parks Grill Steakhouse, Bamboo Noodle House, Chickies and Pete's. ParksCasino.com to buy tickets for all shows. Parks Casino, this is how you win. You got to be 21. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Don't forget Warrant, April 5th, and All-American Rejects, March 29th.
Give me a rejects.
I'll keep you my dirty little secret, dirty little secret.
Don't tell anyone or you'll be just
pretty
another regret.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's continue some hoop talk. The general state of basketball. All right?
No, let's just talk Sixers.
Because
Let's just talk Sixers.
March Madness is here. And college is terrific.
Yeah.
It's the flip side of the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And after a game yesterday where, what was his name? Scofino? What's his name?
I thought you were going to bust on Jeff Reese again.
Jeff Reese. Oh, my God. This G team, Sixer team, it's horrendous. I just got to go to our man. And they won yesterday, make it worse. Our man from the All PHLY Sixers show, great basketball man himself, the great, yes, there he is, Devon Givens.
Devon Givens.
NBA.
Devon Givens.
NBA.
Devon Givens.
NBA.
Devon Givens.
NBA.
There he is.
VG, did you just call Alex Reese Jeff Reese?
No, Anthony's been doing it for the last week. He's thinking of the NHL goaltender, Jeff Reese. This is an Alec guy. No one knows where he came from.
That's how bad it is. I started calling him the used minivan because he mirrors like a George Niang kind of body type. Used minivan.
This is unwatchable. This
Yeah,
is
it's bad.
It is hard. This is horrible. I don't even recognize Scafino. What's his name?
Jalen Hood Scafino. Yeah, he was. I believe he was the 17th
He's
overall
on the
pick.
Sixers. I just had to look it
He's
up.
on the Sixers. 17th overall pick by the Lakers about 3 years ago, first round, of course, and it just didn't work out for him in LA. So yeah, but he was in Indiana. He was a really good player, 5-star player at Indiana, and yeah, Jalen Hood Scafino. So he went off yesterday and they got off script a little bit yesterday from the tank.
Oh, I haven't looked at. I've been so zoned out. Chuma Okeke.
He's back on a 10-day contract. They re-signed him yesterday on a 10-day contract. They needed enough live bodies, man.
Is this a Sixer or a not Sixer? No one's gonna know who these guys are. This is outrageous.
Yeah,
it's injury report. They had 19 total combined players that were out for yesterday's game combined for both teams.
You know what the greatest is that they're giving you they're giving you we got a load management when it comes to Quentin Grimes.
Can we load him, management him? He's out. He needs a memo. What is up with this guy?
Yeah, he sat out. He sat out on Friday, and then they brought him back for this one. It was a revenge game against Dallas. I know. Yeah, he's been phenomenal. So the prices might have gone up a little bit to retain him.
Yeah. Well, the last thing you need is another ball-dominant, undersized guard. So to go with your collection, it's just ew. It's so freaking gross. I gotta tell you. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like Lonnie Walker. They're sitting out because he's too good.
Well, he's got the concussion.
I know.
He's got the concussion. But to your point, you're right. Kelly Oubre, too good. Got to sit out. Quentin Grimes on Friday, too good. Needs to sit out. I get your point. You're absolutely right. It's bad.
My old Cuse guy, O'Shea Brissett's playing with them now?
O'Shea Brissett signed a 10-day contract last week. Played Friday, played on Sunday, and he looked all right. O'Shea Brissett on his 10-day contract. All things considered, right?
but this is just this league. It's the worst I've ever seen it. I mean, because there's only a handful of teams that try. Like you got the Celtics, you got Cleveland, you got the Knicks, right? You got OKC, you got the Lakers, you got the Nuggets, and basically every other team stinks.
I like Minnesota. I think they found their mark after struggling a bit for a good portion of the season. They won about 7 or 8 in a row. They're starting to get it together with Anthony Edwards and company. Julius Randle's actually playing better. Not my favorite player, but he's actually playing pretty well for them. For the most part, I think there's a lot of talent though, and still in the league. But to your point, because of the rules and the way things are, and the fact that only about 6 or 7 teams can win in a respective year, you're not wrong when you say that the league is not great. That the talent is there. The talent is amazing for them to be able to do what they do, to shoot the basketball the way they do, can get to the basket and finish the way that they do. You hate the fact that there's no mid-range game anymore, but things change and you still incorporate it a little bit with some of the really, really talented players.
Yeah, I forgot Golden State. They try. Golden State,
they try. Yeah, they try. So, but yeah, I mean, to look at so many teams and where the Sixers are right now, they're an up-and-coming team that has been so bad for so long. When you get a sniff of being good and having a franchise player in Cade Cunningham, you start to try a little bit, especially when you've built up so many players from being in the lottery for so many years. You start to you got the right guys, so they do try also, as you pointed out. So I think I still like the league, and I think the league is still good, but I can't argue with you when you have a 30-team league and we can only point out 7 or 8 teams that really give a good effort and say that the league is in a really good place right now overall. The investigations that are going on because of players sitting out, things of that nature, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see that. And that's where conversations start to come in about, are they going to have to shorten the season and things of that nature? I know you've been a big proponent of that, not starting at number 1 until December. I know that's been a thing about yours for a while. So, that part is tough. The arguments are there for the good, but there are a lot of arguments for why the league is not so good right now also.
Well, what do you? Well, I want to get your brain, right? Because I mean, I detest it. Like honestly, like I hate it because I just think they're perpetrating a fraud on 20 fan bases across the league. Like there's just horrible basketball. Like OKC's awesome, and their second team is better than starting teams. Like they said everybody the other night, and they still beat Portland, right? Like they're
by double digits.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and if they play Boston in the finals, man, that's interesting, right? The Knicks are always give you your money's worth. Knicks and Golden State fun, whatever. But there's just so few out there that it pains me. I'm hoping that college basketball, the fact that there's NIL, will somehow have it trickle down, keep kids in college to make the league a little bit more stacked.
Yeah, I mean, I think but they would have to. It's tough with the guys leaving because we always talk about how college basketball is not the way it used to be when we loved it, when guys would play and stay for 2-3 seasons, develop their game, get to the pros, and you have the phenomenal player that individual is. And you put these teams together and a collection of players that come in together as a group forms that team, and they're great. Right now, I mean, looking at and when we watch college basketball, and I'm excited. I'm really excited about the tournament. I know we're going to talk about that here shortly, but I'm also disappointed because of the fact that they can move from one school to another, and I can't get used to one player being here and building the team the way that they do. So I think it's going to take a lot of work for us to get back to that, even though they would be staying in school, for the teams, though, to be fun and still have the individual players where it's not just those top guys, but you want to see those players that were in the teens and the 20s that they were drafted. And you're like, yeah, I remember that guy because that dude was good. He was really good in college. And it might take some time, but the development has to be there, and they have to want to. They have to want to. And I'm happy that the kids are getting paid, but I also wonder if they are getting paid and they are getting the money, are they still going to have the incentive in being really, really good when it comes to making the league?
Yeah, I hear you. And you're right about staying together, and that's the part of it. Like you watch a team grow together, and by their third year together, they're a blast, right? Like all the guys. I'm just hoping that they become better basketball players, right? Like that's by not leaving to the league early. I don't know. I don't know what you do with the NBA. I know I sense that you feel it's in a better place than I do, but I mean, I look around and if on a given night, if you got a dozen games, how many are interesting? And are people watching? And I don't know.
No, and at this stage of the season, there are not, because there's so many teams, to your point, also trying to lose games.
But it started early. Like this is in April.
It did.
It started like the beginning of March.
Yeah, no, and I'm saying because they saw the landscape that they were not on that tier level of the 8 teams that you named, and they saw that they really had no shot of winning a championship. So, hey, what's the next best thing? Maybe I can sneak my way into the lottery, get lucky, even though the odds are stacked against me with the rules at the very top of securing one of those picks to get one of those really, really, really talented players that could be a game changer for your franchise. And they saw that. And they decided to go that way because, look, at least I was when I was still talking to you early after the All-Star break. Hey, they still have a chance. They're only this many games back of X player, Team X, and they can still, the Sixers, make this noise if the guys are still available. Now they have decided. They haven't said it, but we know that they have decided. So they are now, unfortunately, which we have not had to deal with for 9 seasons, one of those teams that we're watching, to your point, where they have become unwatchable. They have become unrecognizable in this state of the league right now, and you just lump them in with the other 22 teams that were not mentioned of the 8 that can win. And you're right, because there are a list of those. They were supposed to be an ABC game yesterday, and with Dallas. When the schedule was put together, that was billed as Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving versus Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Paul George at the beginning of the season. We know what happened with Dallas. That was self-inflicted. Injuries happened with the Sixers that really did things with Joel Embiid. And then Paul George with his injuries, Tyrese Maxey, the fact that they were in and out of the lineup and all that stuff. So it changed things. So to your point, Dallas and Philadelphia was supposed to be a big time watchable game. It ultimately became in March and a unwatchable game because all of those players were out. I just said to you, 19 players were out yesterday because of injury with load management stuff, all these other injuries that are out there. And you're 100% right. Where you have a schedule full of 12 games, and 4 are watchable. And for us right now, we're looking at 4 because we're watching to see what Toronto, Chicago, Brooklyn, and those teams do because you want the Sixers to leap up. So we're watching it for the other reason that we're not used to, and that part does stink. You're right.
So what happens? Like, where are they at now? What are you sensing? What are you feeling with them? What are you hearing? Like, what's the plan? Obviously, the hope to get the pick, and then what?
Get lucky keeping the pick. Part of that, I didn't like to hear Nick Nurse say last Friday that they were looking to see if Tyrese Maxey, while on this trip, could get back on the floor. I don't want to hear that because he can help you win some of these close games when you're playing against some of these opponents. So I didn't like that part. But yeah, just trying to secure that pick, give themselves a chance to keep that top 6 protected pick, and get a chance at one of these young guys to go along with the group of talented players, if healthy, that they have for this roster for next season. And that's where they are right now. It's not going to be easy because you look at what Toronto is doing. Toronto was winning that game last night against Portland, and you sit Scotty Barnes and Jakob Poeltl in the final few minutes, and they lose the game. So a lot of it is no longer in their hands because of what's happening with these other teams. When you're looking at Brooklyn and Toronto, you hate to be here, but this is where they are right now when it comes to that. San Antonio losing Victor Wembanyama for the remainder of the year, and then De'Aaron Fox having the surgery. They're not too far back from the Sixers also, so you have to keep an eye on that. So we're like hate watching these other teams to find out what's going on, to see where they are. But the ultimate goal, as you asked, just to round about, to get back to it, is you gotta find a way, and to get that top 6 pick, or at least give yourself a chance right now at this point. And Quentin Grimes going off at 30 a night is not helping.
And according to, I think Derek Bodner's broke it down percentage wise. For them to even have a better than 50% chance of keeping that pick, they have to be in the bottom 5. So it's just a race off with them, Toronto and Brooklyn right now.
Yeah, so they've been in that 5, 6, 7 range for the last week and a half, last 2 weeks. And when we do our daily tankathon spin and check it after each game to see exactly where they are, now 5, 6, and 7 is where they have been hovering. They win. Brooklyn wins yesterday, so it stays pace where they're half a game up on Brooklyn. Had they lost that game, Brooklyn would have jumped in front of them. They would have been right back in that 5 spot. Toronto was on a 3-game winning streak. They had won 6 of their last 7. They lose last night, so that screwed things up a little bit again there, where the Sixers would have been comfortably right there. I think they're game up now on Toronto because of that win that they had and Toronto's loss yesterday. So tonight they play Houston. Houston has won about 6 games in a row. They are fighting for a 2 seed in the West. They're not losing to the Philadelphia 76ers tonight. So if you have one thing that you look at least on the other side, and VG, that Houston team is good. They play hard. We as we talked about playing hard, that Houston team plays hard, and they are not going to fall to the Sixers with them trying to secure a top pick. So we'll see good basketball on one half of the floor tonight.
Hey, I saw this nugget last night. James Harden's last 8 games. 21 points, 15 assists, 50 points, 27 points, 29 11, 25 and 17, 24 and 11. He's on fire right now.
Yeah.
He's got the Ponce de Leon Fountain of Youth.
And one of my bold predictions at the beginning of the season when Paul George left and the uncertainty with Kawhi Leonard was the Clippers aren't going to make the playoffs. Yeah, I was wrong on that one. Because Kawhi has come back. He's looked good. Norm Powell is having an all-star level season. And James Harden was an all-star. He's having an all-NBA level season. And he has been fantastic. That they got that one wrong between he and Morey, and the issue that they have, and him calling Daryl Morey a liar and all that stuff. I did not want to pay James Harden a max contract. But I was good with bringing him back on a extended 3-year deal. You knew it was going to be good money, like $90 to $100 million in total. You knew it was going to be good money, but he's playing some really good basketball again. And we saw what it looked like when he and Joel Embiid were out there on the floor. And when Joel did miss games, and he and Maxey were out there on the floor together, they still won basketball games. And the issue that we've had this season when Embiid was out, Paul George with Tyrese Maxey, they did not win basketball games. So James Harden right now has the last laugh for how good he has been, what he has done with that basketball team, having the ball in his hands. The assist numbers are high. The rebounding is still there. He's not dropping 30 because he doesn't have to, because he's later in his career, but he's still doing enough with his 20-plus to help guide winning for that basketball team. So, yeah, it's crazy.
That's nuts. Whole thing's wild, D. Whole thing's
Yeah,
wild.
it is.
What's that Pacino movie?
Yeah, it is.
I'm out of order.
You're out of
this
order.
whole
The whole league is out of order.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, and that's what we were, right? Remember we were having those conversations about Harden. What do you do, and how much money do you give him? Do you give him that third year fully guaranteed?
I mean, I wouldn't have done it. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So revisionist history is one thing, but
it doesn't matter.
Again,
without Embiid, none of it matters.
Yeah, but at least they won. And I know they wouldn't have won a championship, but they won games with he and Maxey, where right now with George, they didn't. They didn't. And the times that they were on the floor together, I think Paul George maybe played 40 games this season, and they didn't win those games. Yeah. And that's the unfortunate part. James Harden is doing his part there with the Clippers.
Hey, Devon, Keith Pompey wrote a piece just over the weekend about a trade part. Do you foresee anyone realistically being interested in trading for Paul George this offseason?
Nah, it's too much money.
Yeah.
Nah, I think it's too much money on the 3 years remaining, again, as we know, fully guaranteed. And the fact that he didn't look like Paul George this season, or is this Paul George? And which is why they would not trade for him. So I think the Sixers are going to bring him back, see what the first half of the season looks like, and should something change, and maybe around trade deadline, maybe they'll look at that option. But right now, I think he's going to be on the team. I don't believe there's a trade partner out there.
All right, buddy. Well, we appreciate your time as always, pal.
Yeah.
At least we're not March
always,
Madness.
man.
Who you like?
I like Florida a little bit.
Yeah.
With how they play. Of course, that's a chalk team being a number one seed. Like Florida, curious to see. I know they said Cooper Flag might be ready for Friday with the first game. Of course, Duke is really, really good, but that Florida team, man, that team is something. I don't like Auburn as much as everyone else, and I know Broom is good, but he misses enough free throws where that can cost you a game. He'll get you to 20.
Yeah.
He'll get you to 20. He'll get you rebounds and stuff, but they're gonna foul you. Yeah. They're gonna foul you, and you got to make those free throws. And they almost lost in their conference tournament because he could not make those free throws at the end. Auburn is good, but man, that Florida team is tough, and also St. John's. Right, you guys, Rick Pitino, great coach.
They're playing well, John's man.
At the right, I mean, they've done it all season, but certainly doing it at the right time.
Yeah. Great stuff, my brother. Thanks, D. What time tonight?
Thank you. We tonight at 7:30 because it's an 8 o'clock tip in Houston. So 7:30 with Kyle, Derek, Bree, myself. We'll be getting you ready for another tank game for the 76. 15 left. So we'll see how it goes.
I like it. Left. I like it. There he is, the great Devon Givens.
Thanks, guys.
See you, buddy.
Thanks, Devon.
You got time for a couple nugs?
Well, I got a back in the day, but Jamie and I've been texting. I think he should come in and tell us a little about his cuisine.
Happy St. Patrick's
his cuisine
Day
tonight for St. Patrick's Day. I think he'll be a big fan of the cuisine.
Lynch Jr. Happy St. Patty's Day.
Sláinte. You got dinner plans tonight?
No. Dinner. I got basketball tonight.
Corned beef and cabbage, baby.
Oh yeah, we got the corned beef.
That's nice.
Yeah, we got the corned beef and cabbage going in the crock pot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you like cabbage? You a cabbage guy?
Yeah.
What about corned beef?
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Irish soda bread for you.
What's that?
Eileen made the Irish soda bread yesterday.
I love Eileen.
Yeah, a little caraway seed,
nice.
some raisins.
Oh, that's cool.
This cuisine's right up your alley.
That's fantastic.
You like raisins in the bread?
Yeah, you big raisin guy, right?
Yeah.
Raisin, cabbage, potatoes.
I love potatoes.
Potatoes and carrots will be in there.
Potatoes are in the bread.
I got Guinness for you.
I love the Guinness.
Can I ask, why isn't it just a nice Guinness beef stew?
You could do that. I mean,
Yeah, like a
shepherd's
Guinness
pie.
beef stew. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we went out Saturday, and I didn't get the shepherd's pie, but I was on the doorstep.
What did you get?
A fried chicken sandwich, like a fat ass.
Uh,
Something about it was calling my name.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What did you go to the parade? Did you celebrate any?
We went to the Glenside Parade last Saturday. Contra Hawken had theirs this Saturday. We didn't go to this one, but the Glenside one was awesome.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then we're going
Did the
down
girls? Will you get the girls in the Irish dancing?
No, but I have a couple buddies whose kids do it.
Yeah.
We sent them to school today in their green skirts with clovers all over.
Oh,
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool.
Good Irish outfit.
Yeah.
Ah, that's great.
Yeah.
Does the cabbage provide for a flatulence filled
Oh,
next day?
real-
Oh
real
yeah,
stanky
man.
stank.
Yeah.
I
That red
imagine.
cabbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no good for the farts.
Really?
Oh yeah, I get you.
Wow.
It'll rip you up a little bit.
Nice.
Some Guinnesses.
Nice.
Might
Yeah,
be
right.
sleeping in the guest room tonight.
Oh, that's great,
Yeah,
buddy.
man. I was listening to some Irish music on the way in here.
Right.
I regret not bringing Guinness in because it's just like it's a Guinness kind of morning, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's a nice breakfast drink.
The Guinness is it really is.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah,
Drop
I should've
a
brought
Bailey's
some
in there.
I like it for March. I like Guinness in March.
So you'll love this. Yesterday, Julia, her nephew had a birthday party. So Addie took the two girls, and I had like 3.5 hours at home. So I cleaned up a little bit. So I got the good husband equity, and then I got myself a couple Guinness, and I sat down. I watched the SEC.
Yeah,
and just the
buddy.
conference, and the breeze was coming in the window.
Nice.
And I was like, oh man, basketball's here.
Yeah.
It's a great time.
Tournament, man. It's the best.
I know you hate it because football's over, but like it's great. Baseball's here,
Yeah.
tournaments here.
In
Like
fact-
you're coming out of your fog of like post-football depression.
Yeah, you got in fact
Rory won this morning.
Yeah.
Laddie
That he
on
did.
St.
Yeah,
Patty's
Laddie.
Day.
You know, I was always a Laddie fan.
Yeah, you were OG Laddie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always like Laddie. We got baseball from Japan.
Yeah, how about that?
That's cool.
Yeah.
No,
Very cool.
it's at least sports starting to pick up, and Lord knows we need it
Yeah.
because like the Flyers are just let's get to the draft. The Sixers are just
They don't exist to me.
they don't. We're just talking to Devon.
I heard you
I don't
guys-
even know what to say. Like as much as it's just horrendous.
If you're watching this product right now, you're sick in the head.
You can't. Like Tasty Cake Dom's turned his back on him.
Oh, that's
man.
depressing.
That's
Yeah.
new levels.
Yeah.
No, it's bad.
Yeah.
And they're not even guaranteed to get that pick.
I know, but you got to do everything you can to get up there.
Oh my God.
If they don't get this pick
Oh, disaster.
next year, I mean, I don't even know how you go into this next year
No.
with any kind of interest.
No. I mean, you're down. You got to cross them off.
Who you got in your bracket?
So we're just looking at it. I mean,
It's kind of chalky this year, isn't it? I feel
it
like
is chalky because we were talking about this, and maybe come in Wednesday we'll go through it
Yeah.
all. But we were going through it, and again,
I have 2 1s in the championship game.
who do you got? Florida. You got Florida and Duke.
Florida, Duke.
Yeah, I mean everybody's going to have
Florida's nasty.
it. Florida is nasty. They're the 2 best teams.
Yeah.
The only team is, and Dick brought this up, Dick Jerardi, that could mess things up is St. John's.
Dude, how about that second round? And shout out our buddy Hicks for pointing it out. That second round matchup's either Patino versus Calipari or Patino versus Bill Self.
Yeah,
That's
it's awesome.
Heavyweights in the second round.
Yeah, that region is stacked. They didn't do St. John's.
Hurley's in that region too. Hurley, Self, Calipari, Patino.
What a spaz he is. You see
Yeah,
him
and
yelling
even
at-
Maryland, 4. Yeah. 2. I got 2 rings.
Kyle Neptune getting fired got the Maryland coach a raise yesterday.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
I've heard a little birdie about the Nova.
Who you got?
Chris Collins.
Yeah. In fact, Dick said that.
Yeah.
We like Chris Collins.
Yeah. So you get Doug back in the Philly hoops
No, that would
area.
be Northwestern.
Yeah.
That would be good. That
That's
would be
a solid hire.
That would be a solid hire.
Yeah.
I'm with you. All right, do our back in the day moment with the bro here.
All right, I'll hang for the back of the day.
We're going back. We're going back. We're going back in the day with Rite Aid. Yeah! On St. Paddy's Day 2021, it became official. Carson Wentz trade.
Wow.
Trade to the Colts for 2 picks.
Wow.
I don't know how he did it.
What that turned into is freaking believable.
Yeah,
Luck of the
Quinyon
Irish.
and-
It was Jalen Carter, AJ Brown, and I believe Quinyon, and then like maybe another person or 2.
Yeah, it's
Like, it's
unbelievable
wild.
what he did with those picks.
Yeah, unbelievable. Chris
Yeah.
Ballard is the most overhyped GM in the league.
Oh my God, right?
That trade alone, he should be getting roasted.
I'm hoping that he'll fleece him for Goddard.
That'd be nice. That's what Zach
Nice.
and Fran have both heard, the Colts. So.
Yeah, well,
perfect.
So.
Branson's, they have no tight end on the depth chart.
Well, either will the Eagles.
Right. Well,
Oh, hey,
What is this?
Calcaterra.
Oh, is he
You
a Tennessee guy?
anti-Calcaterra? No, he's Italian. Come on, dude.
horrible.
No,
No, they're going to
I-
draft. They'll draft the tight end.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be ready to go.
Second round? Not first.
I don't think in the first round. But they're not going to get Warren and
Loveland
and you're not going to get
second.
Loveland.
So you might as well wait for Harold Fanning Jr.
Well, you think so because of the coach from the.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I like Mason Taylor
Oh, yeah?
from
You want the
LSU.
bloodline, huh?
Yeah, I like Mason Taylor.
Yeah, you're a bloodline guy.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a sucker to it for it, too.
Yeah.
Like
I love
Casey Matthews.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Baby
Baby
Thor!
Thor! Oh, he was horrible.
He stunk.
Oh my
No
God,
offense, probably
Baby
a great
Thor.
guy.
Oh my God, that was horrible. What do you got? You got a couple nugs?
Yeah, we can go through some dogs if you want. I just gotta get a second to pull them up.
There's one that I just want one.
One? All right. There's a former head coach having some fun around town on beaches.
That's the one I want because I want the bro here to see this.
On beaches? What's going
Yeah,
on here?
listen. Look at this.
Oh, I saw this.
Yeah, little Bill Belichick.
Are
doing
you
some
kidding
beach
me?
aerobics or acrobats.
Ooh, this is ridiculous. I was laughing for like 10 minutes.
I
when
saw it. I was like, oh, that's his girl. I was like, no, that's him on the bottom. That's him on the bottom.
That's Bill Belichick.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, is this cool because he's got like the younger babe, or is this just
No,
weird?
there's
This is
nothing
weird,
cool
right?
about this.
It's
just
weird.
totally weird.
That's Bill Belichick,
It's
With his
weird.
ass to the sun.
right? Bill Belichick with a girl on a young
posing
girl.
for like selfies on the beach like this.
Who's taking this picture?
Right. Right. Is there an
Isn't
assistant?
that bizarre? Like, this is the same guy who during a news conference wouldn't say 3 words.
Yeah.
Well, football, like you would, and then this is the dude
Yeah.
with
This
the
is
young.
what I do with my young girl.
Yeah, women,
Right.
I have a
women
6
get
and
guys to
3-year-old.
act crazy.
I literally do this at night. I'll put them up on my feet and flip them onto the couch and like do like Daddy Olympics with them.
Like
He's doing it with his
he's
24-year-old
what,
girlfriend.
70? How old is he?
72 or
Yeah.
73?
Yeah, something like that.
73 years old, and he's just like,
I was conflicted because I was like, part of me's like, well, he's got a young chick. Like, he's got
Yeah.
all these
No,
rings
it's
in the
not cool.
pictures.
It's not
and then I
cool at
saw
all.
this and I was like, this is just weird.
I had
Yeah.
to bring this up.
It's
I-
very strange.
It is. It's weird.
You would have told me that Bill Belichick a couple years ago would be running around being paparazzi material on TMZ on the beach with young chicks. I mean, what we had a hint of it when he got busted leaving that apartment in the beach in the morning, like 6 a.m. with the barrel chested walking around. So
That
he was
I
up
think
to
that was her.
something. Was
I
it
think that was
her?
her place. Yeah.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's wild. And apparently, all the communications for UNC's football program,
Yeah.
she has to be like CC'd
CC'd.
on the emails.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's bizarre.
Yeah, that's so
Like his
weird.
assistant.
Oh, it's
If
bizarre.
you're UNC right now, are you like,
Hey, yo, Bill. It's
a
kind of
little weird,
creepy.
right?
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a creep factor.
yeah, she's
Yeah.
young.
Yeah.
She's probably
She's
just
25.
graduated.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Weird.
Yeah, high creep factor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say 73 years old. Like,
He's like
yo,
47 when she was born.
dude, you know.
The one video of her leaving the Super Bowl, she wasn't even wearing her jacket properly. She was wearing it like down like this, like a little kid. It's weird.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. It's bizarre. Had to bring that up. All right, bro. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, cheers. Should
All
we go
right.
get a Guinness?
Yeah.
All
Happy
right.
St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Enjoy. Be careful. We love you. See you in the morning.
We all silly like the mayor.